you've been following this podcast season, you know that there's just been one question throughout everything. It's pretty much the why. Why everything? Why this? Why me? Why are we here? All of that. And I think finally we got an answer. So in this episode, I have a guest. It is an honor to introduce you guys to and to sit down with Karen Kubicko. Karen is a past life regressionist, hypnotherapist, psychic intuitive, author. I went to Karen on my own. I found her from her being on a different podcast. I wanted to do a past life regression. I spent 3 hours with her. We did a full soul reading, my past life regression. And then after the fact, I was like, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? So she's like, oh, actually, I'm going to be in San Diego for a conference. How about I just drive down and we can film it in person? Okay, yeah. And guess what? We sat here and spoke for 4 hours. Obviously, we cut it down to the best parts for you guys. The thing that really shocked me was when I found out that Karen was an author of a book called Making True Love. She wrote a book about what is abuse and what is love, all under the framework of healing through your past lives. This episode is very intimate and special because I have Karen read my soul, check in with my spirit guides on camera with you guys. I hold nothing back. Like, these are my most existential, personal questions that I'm having her ask the higher realms for me, and it's all on camera. So I'm literally putting my soul out there for you guys. And I think this episode will really resonate with those of you who are mothers and have that common ground on abusive relationships. And I liked how I could speak about the abusive relationship that I had been in and its effects and the gravity of it with someone that understands, but also someone that's on the other end of it. So I think this is a really impactful conversation. It's literally the same woman looking at each other, just one is in it and one is on the other side of it. I also have Karen channel a message specifically for you guys that have been following along this journey and back in my Makeup by Mandy 24 days. So those of you that have been around for so long and just feel like that kind of soul family to me, I wanted her to channel a message directly to you guys, something that you needed to hear. So she ends up doing that as well. We talk about forgiveness, how to actually have forgiveness to move on from something traumatic, and how motherhood, trauma, or even near-death experience, it's kind of like a portal that cracks you open to the metaphysical, and it not always is like this big boom, I had this experience and I'm psychic now. And I love to hear that from Karen's perspective because she definitely clarifies that she had a progressive awakening of her abilities. I'm so excited to show you guys like the psychic intuitive channeling in action, okay? And I get some answers that I've been needing. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it. Karen A. Kubicko, welcome to the Sign Language Podcast. We talk about the craziest way that it's crazy for me because I found you, and
it's not crazy. It's just synchronicity.
Synchronicity, yes. Last night as I was prepping, there was just another one right on top of that.
What was it?
Your birth story.
Oh gosh.
So
my second child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where your psychic abilities started. You had a near-death experience.
I did. Yeah.
And
Fun.
Your daughter was born not breathing.
She was not breathing. She was blue. It's funny because I didn't even realize I had a near-death experience because I just didn't realize it. I grew up Catholic. I had seen my spirit guides when I was a little kid. I thought they were just imaginary friends or ghosts. I didn't have terminology for it, right? And both my parents were like, there's no such thing as ghosts. I was like, I'm not supposed to see you. I'm not supposed to hear you, but they're sitting there and I could see them and hear them. And then my little sweet guy came. It was not a great situation, you know, because like she was in NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit. And it's a whole trauma thing.
I mean, I didn't have a near-death experience, but Gaia was born.
She had a hard time too.
Yeah, she wasn't breathing. It was very traumatic experience as well.
Did they intubate her too?
Yeah, she's in the NICU for 7 days. Did your daughter get the cooling treatment? Is that?
She was intubated.
This is a while ago.
Yeah, it's 24 years ago.
Yeah, okay, so maybe.
So I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, it was called HIE is what the
terminology is when they're like born without the oxygen to their brain as much. And so now they place them on like a cooling mat.
Wow.
So they keep their brain and their body temperature low.
Like
so
they do for stroke. Yeah, because like 2 days later, they were checking her for brainwaves just to be sure. And I was freaking out.
Like, and also, so I didn't die during mine, but I felt everything. They weren't like giving me more like of the epidural when I'm like, it's not working. And then we rushed
They did surgery on you though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah. So that was crazy. And then I just knew that when she came out, I was like screaming the whole time because I felt it all. And she came out and didn't hear any crying or anything. And then once she was out, the doctor said, put her out. I'm like, put me out.
It is heart-wrenching.
Most of my trauma I've accumulated around that time is not related to that event.
Okay.
I don't think about it much because it's just not as relevant. But after realizing this is your story too, like this is where it started for you. And I definitely, after giving birth and everything, that's when I got into the metaphysics.
So what's the coincidence? I mean, I feel like that I think the more readings that I give to people and I talk about it, the moment people wake up in a sense or start thinking about angels, guides, chakras, all the metaphysical stuff, it always is coincidentally around some kind of something like a trauma. I know you feel stuff whenever you're getting intuitive information. I see more stuff and I see what you're feeling, which is funny. They show me a vision of what someone is feeling.
What am I feeling?
No. I mean, like when you're feeling into intuitive information.
Okay.
They don't show me really emotions, I guess, like in that way. But when you're using your psychic ability of empath or you're tuning into in a feeling sense of something, I'm being shown that instead. When people have some kind of trauma or whatever, if at any time the spirit part of you feels as if trauma is going to impact your physicalness, generally your energy part of you steps out. And sometimes you don't really remember having a near-death experience, but that same stepping out of your body is enough for you to have a similar kind of awakening because you remember who you are on a soul level, spirit level, higher dimensional level, so that you're like, oh, and then you come back in your physical body and then you're like, wait a minute, I need to look into the metaphysical stuff. Why do I want crystal things? You know what I mean?
I got into astrology because I kind of was looking at why everything happened the way that it did and if there's any way to see that in charts and stuff. And also my daughter was born with a Scorpio moon.
Okay.
Yeah, which is supposed to be a tough one with the mom.
Okay.
As a Capricorn moon, it's pretty compatible.
So I don't know all that kind of terminology, and I'm not going to pretend to. I can talk to you about Sagittarians, but that's...
Are you Sagittarius?
I am.
Okay, awesome. Sagittarius rising here.
Kind of it. But I definitely can't speak to all that other fun.
Because you don't need to. You have your own methods.
Yeah.
I was having a call with some TV producers about some sort of intuitive show.
Nice.
And they were so taken aback by how, like, they asked everyone they're interviewing, your method, is that the best? Like, what's actually the best intuitive method to use? Is it tarot? Is it astrology? Is it clairvoyance? Or like, everyone has their own thing.
True fact.
Any other career, sport, people would be like, no, I'm the best. Like, this is where you're at. So
when I was going through like intuitive training classes and things, because I didn't automatically like, boom, be awoke with all this stuff. It was a slow taper of learning, trusting, and practice. And when you start trusting your intuitive abilities more, then more stuff comes to you. The person that I came across that was helping me with this years ago, he's like, tarot cards and all that kind of stuff are great. Pendulums, all great entry. They're tools that you can use to bridge that knowledge or information of intuitive guidance and things. Ultimately, the goal is to just on demand receive information without anything, because then you can be anywhere. You always have you. I really took that to heart with that and practice in that way. Yeah.
Did you have any getting into this kind of work that even now for me, when I talk about this stuff, especially because when I start getting into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like everyone needs to know about this. And everyone's like, hey, it's a little bit much. Like, especially that long ago, what kept you like, you know what, I'm going to still trust and keep going on this journey?
I guess it's about my daughter. When she was born, but about 3 months later, she's like about 3 months old. I woke up, I nursed my kids and I had just laid her down. And all of a sudden I I woke up again and I saw someone holding her in a crib next to my bed. And I was like, oh, did she wake up? I thought her dad woke up. No response. Didn't look up. They're just real sweet, holding her like this. It was so nice. And I'm like, that was weird. They didn't respond. And I looked over, he's still sleeping. And then I looked back and they were gone. I was like, who's holding my baby?
Oh my gosh. That's like a nightmare.
I didn't feel the way, but then I started being like, WTF, man. I was like, well, what is that? Totally new with all the stuff at this point, all them years ago. And so I reached out to the radio station because they had a person who came on and did psychic readings every month. And I went and he said, do you have a daughter? I said, yes. She's a really strong third eye. I'm like, cool. If you don't help her understand that, it's not going to be great for her. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't even know what that meant. And so then I started delving into psychic related things and trying to understand what a third eye is, chakras, all the stuff. It was so much information. There's so many directions you can go. And so I dabbled in that for several years. Right around 3.5, I went on a trip. Now I live on the East Coast, but the California vibe is fun, I have to say. But I went into this shop and they had a book on children's past lives. And I'm like, weird stuff, kids stuff. And so I couldn't put the book down. And it was wonderful. I got to read through all of that. I stay up till 3 a.m. reading this book. And then anybody she mentioned, like Brian Weiss and Michael Newton and all the big names that you have actually mentioned, were mentioned. And I went and bought their books, read their books. And then I was like, I'm doing this. I was like in, because that just felt like the way to go. The woman who wrote that book is Carol Bowman. And it's funny how many times I mentioned her book, because it was like the very beginning for me, truly. And so she mentions in her book, and you could do this too with Gaia, any open-ended question about what did you do before you came here? I've had people come to me about saying, oh, my other mother, oh, I used to live here, or I remember this, or where's my brother at? And they don't have a brother, that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's fascinating, but they're remembering a past time, a past lifetime. And so her book says, just ask an open-ended question. And so at the time, my daughter was not wanting to grow up. She did not want to turn 4. She's 3 years old, very adamant. And I think Gaia's 3 now, right? You cannot argue with 3-year-old. So it's like, okay, honey, I mean, it's okay.
It just came out of nowhere?
Oh, no, for months, she was adamant about not growing up. She did like an argument, tears, all the stuff. And she wanted to be called baby and everything because she really didn't want to grow up. And so I had read her book, and I probably read it twice at least by then. And I said, well, what do you think's going to happen if you do grow up? And then she started talking about these past lifetimes she had. It was super cool. And so she talked about a friend of hers. She was giggling and laughing. She's like, he was shooting apples and all this stuff up on the hill. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like writing it down. I'm like grabbing a notebook and writing it down.
So jealous.
And then she started talking about being in the woods and getting hit with a mean rock right on her head. And I was like, interesting, because her frame of reference is PBS, Teletubbies, things like that. Like I didn't do TV a whole lot with them. And so she had been born with 2 strawberry birthmarks and a very big birthmark in the back. And birthmarks are indicative of a past life trauma of some kind. So when she said mean rock hitting her in the head, I'm thinking bullet or something like that, right? But interestingly, the very next day, she was cool with being called her name, and she was fine with having her birthday now. And I'm like, thank goodness, because like I planned ahead for stuff usually. And it was done. And I was like, wow, months of this conversation. And then all of a sudden, all finished. It was incredible. So I was like, what's this about? Yeah. So I just kept delving in more and more.
And how does she know?
She's fine.
Does she do any intuitive work?
She is probably equally psychic as me, although she's set it aside and is doing her gig and her thing, being the 20-something that she is.
That's so fun.
26.
No, she's 24. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like she's doing her own thing. And I know she used to pull cards and do readings and stuff like that in high school for her friends, but I don't know if she does it too much anymore. But it's all good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And she hasn't had any issue turning it off and managing it?
You actually talked about that in one of the things that I was listening to with, I think, Alyssa. And, you know, I was thinking about that because I'm like, I don't really shut it off, but like, it's more like a dial of I have a little bit coming in or a lot. So like when I was tuning in for you, when we were doing the reading part of it, I had it turned on high. And but then when we're done, it's almost like close the door in a sense. Because like really, and I probably said it to you, when I get a number for how many spirit guides you have and how many angels you have, that opens up your door for me to connect to your information. And so then when we're finished, then it's closed again because it's none of my business, right? And so but I definitely turn it up and turn it down because I can go to the grocery store and get nothing, which is a preference and a rule in a sense that I created because I don't want to be inundated with everybody's stuff. That's first of all, none of my business. And how is that going to help anyone if I'm receiving that information?
Yeah. What advice would you give someone that is having these psychic, intuitive things come in, but they're not aware that it's not their energy maybe that they're taking in and it could be overwhelming for them, but that they think it's all themselves?
Like they're empath and they're picking up somebody else's business. Oh gosh, how to explain?
Just learn your practice.
Well, so there's like two things that I share when I talk with people about that specific question. So one is to then ask the question, is this mine? Because if you're not sure and you're questioning, because like I definitely have had the experience where I'm driving down the road and someone's driving past and they're laughing and I can feel that all of a sudden. And I'm like, wow, why do I feel so wonderful? I look over, they're just laughing their head off. Or the opposite, I've seen someone be very angry and you could see that they're very terse talking on the phone, that type of thing. And you pick up that, you know what I mean? That kind of anger. And I don't want to feel that. So that's clearly not mine. You know what I mean? Because you're visually seeing it. But when I teach people to trust their intuitive ability, I have a really strong opinion about really connecting to your higher self aspect, because then you're getting that clear knowledge. You're putting your ego, humanness aside and just receiving just straight information and trying to not have your opinion included. You're one and the same because you're an aspect of it, right? But it's definitely that deepened connection, which I'm probably sure that I shared with you, that image, that connection to source, as well as being grounded into this center of the earth, because that whole connection through the chakra flow is that I am connected to my higher self. And so that's always the first step. And I have been told I need to teach people that on a bigger scale because it's remembrance of who we really are as a spiritual being. And so once you're connected to your higher self, even if you just say those words, I am connected to my higher self, then you can use yourself kind of like a pendulum, or you can think of yourself like a magnet. When magnets are the right way, you are drawn to it. Yes, that's a yes. Or if you're repelled, wrong direction, you're pushed away. And so really trusting is this mine? And you're like, no, then it's not mine. And so the next step would be, what do you do with that information, right? So I always tell people to think of it, and I use the example of the movie from The Incredibles where Mr. Incredible was inundated with all the stuff. And some people have never watched that movie. And
I've seen the movie multiple times.
What? First one, when he's walking past all the lava and trying to sneak out of whatever that guy's name is, lair. And his wife pushes the button as a GPS connector and it goes, meh, 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 and he gets pummeled with the round balls of stuff that blow up on him. Yeah. That is what it visually looks like to me when somebody else's emotions get stuck on you, because it's like you need to get that off.
Well, I always feel like I absorb a lot of energy and I know that I need to release it. Yeah. But how do I know I have released it or I've done enough access?
As an empath, you can feel it. We'll use this pen as an example. It's pink to match your vibe. If this is somebody else's emotion of frustration or something like that you randomly picked up, and there is a background reasoning for that, there's a couple ways of thinking about this. This isn't mine. Please send it out into the earth so they can be transmuted back into positive. You can ask Archangel Michael, which is my go-to angel for a lot of stuff, to please remove any and all attachments of any kind through all time, space, and dimensions. And I literally feel like I'm getting a shower when I say those words. You can stand in the shower and just ask for energetic cleansing. and let it wash down the drain. There's a lot of ways to visualize that. I always try to release it. It's almost like you can just go like this. That's not mine. You can pick it up and just throw it out the window or the door so that the earth will absorb it and transmute it. When I asked one time, why do empaths pick up all that type of energy? It was kind of a two-part answer. One part of it is that some people who wander around in life, they're not even aware that they can remove that. And so as an empath, you pick that up to help them be that transmuter, to release it, to help them on some level, ultimately all connected and all one. And so when you're helping someone that you might not even know, you're helping yourself in a real sense. And so that's one aspect of it. But sometimes when empaths have put that into place where they have like feelers stretched out on all sides, picking up, and it kind of reminds me of like dust mop, where you're just like sweeping and picking up everybody's stuff and you don't even know it. Originally, that was put in place maybe if someone has had a very difficult upbringing where someone had anger issues or something like that, and you are putting these feelers out to make sure that you feel safe if they come in the door, whether it's at home, at school, at work, wherever. And it feels like as a younger person, that's kind of put in place. And then you want to make sure that you're safe. And so you have these feelers out, and then you forget when you're an adult, you still have them happening. And then you walk into the grocery store and you're picking up other people's stuff and you don't even know that's happening. It's all about that security that was put in place before. So I tell people, again, I like to use that dial as an example to just, you can be in charge of your energy and kind of bring it back in. Still just as strong, you're in charge of it. And then when you want to, then you can use it like a Care Bear stare and check on Gaia or tune into a friend or something like that, or whoever you would do a reading for, and use your energy on purpose, at will, in a sense, on your terms versus just willy-nilly randomly picking up other people's.
Yeah. In our session, something that really helped me is when you told me to pull the energy from above through instead of just from my energy source, from my heart, because that's what will drain us.
Sure, absolutely.
And I just now, like, anytime I'm around people, which I have been more, remember in that moment, I'm like, from above, not from me, do not take this from me right now.
Well, so you can have a standing ask, angels on my behalf, if someone else needs some kind of vital life force energy or some healing energy of some kind, can you provide it on my behalf so I can continue to do the work that I'm here on this planet to do? And then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It makes it.
Well, let me just get some healing for you really quick. Like, I got it.
Well, it's your intent. Everything comes from intent, truly. And so if your intent is the angels are going to help you out and provide, you've specifically asked them, they can't interfere in your life unless you ask, they will help you.
Okay. So this actually leads me to one of the questions I had.
Great.
We know that, or this, I also believe we have like the same framework kind of beliefs because of the past life regression books, like literally Michael Newton's Journey of Souls, favorite book ever. If our guides want to help us out and want to connect with us and guide us and help us make the right decisions, what does it mean if it's kind of quiet? Or you have a huge life decision, there's this or that. Are they in really timeline splitting moments? Are they going to be very loud and try to get that message to you more clear? Or I'm just always afraid of choosing something wrong. And it's like, don't you want me to do good? Like, just tell me.
There's no wrong direction because you're still going to learn something no matter what choice you make. I'll give you an example. I'm divorced, all this stuff, and I decided to try dating again. And I was talking to one of my friends who, most of my friends are psychic, so it makes it easy to be like, hey, let's talk. I'm asking them to ask my guide, what do they think about this guy? And he's like, yeah, no, he's good. And I'm like, all right. So I go out with them and I'm like, what? The actual... Really? So then I go back and we're talking to my guide again, or I'm asking her. I mean, I can ask her directly, but at this point in time, I was not as good at it as I am now. I'm full on away with them. They're all standing here for both of us. So it's calming and relaxing. But he's like, oh, well, she said it was a good idea because you were going to learn something from him. I'm like, that is not the answer that I wanted, because we all want that true love experience. It's exasperating when you are like, this guy's another learning lesson, this relationship's another learning lesson. And you're like, when can I have the learning lesson of love?
Right.
Because that is the ultimate goal, right? And I know you and I talked about that a teeny bit, but you have to love yourself because someone else can't love you only as much as you love you. And it's, a lot of people are like, well, I love myself. Of course course you do. But I mean, it's releasing all of the baggage and things that are holding you back or anything like that, that help you see through someone who's not great for you, so that you don't even have to go on a date with them to figure it out, or date them for 3 months and figure it out. You can just meet them, they flirt with you, and you're like, oh, maybe. And then all of a sudden you're like, narcissist. And you don't even engage any further than that, because you've tuned in or really connected in so deeply that you don't even have to think about it twice. You don't waste any time in a real sense. Does that help?
I guess because I'm like in it now, things like haven't made complete sense and like been all wrapped up for me yet. So I just still struggle with the why of everything. So that's definitely where all my questions come from. Like, we definitely have specific major life events that are planned, and we're going to reach it no matter what choice we make. Yeah. I mean, did I make an agreement to be in an abusive relationship, or did I make an agreement to have tendencies that might end me up in there? Or
yeah, I mean, nobody really wants to believe that they've made those choices on some alter spirit level. Like, I know that you mentioned in one of your vlogs about the stuff that I've gone through, and I talk about it in my one book. And I didn't think that I planned any of that. You know, I so appreciate that there was a thing called a women's shelter. I literally had never even heard of that before. And I just happened to be talking with somebody. I was expressing my concern about this person that I was with. And she's like, they have women's shelters. I'm like, well, I didn't even know. I was so young and didn't know a lot about a lot of things. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. We didn't have all the fun in a bigger city. And so whenever I have looked back on my life, I know that happened for a reason, as horrible as it was. And what synchronicity for that woman to randomly mention that to me, because that was the most helpful thing that I ever had in my experience, which I think I mentioned. You have some of those things in chapter 18 of that book. That is literally from my experience. I kept it all these years. I used to make photocopies of that and pass them out to people I would give readings to. Not every single person, but clearly if they needed it, that type of thing, to help them recognize what is abuse and what isn't abuse. And that comes from my stay there. Had I not had that experience, I would never have been able to help all these other hundreds of people that I've given that information to, because I had, we'll just say, a rape happen in my life. Now, if someone comes across my path and we're having that discussion, or the guides are giving me information on that, I'm not all squeamish and afraid to talk about it, because I get you. I get it. It sucks that I had to go through that. It sucks that there's all this PTSD related to it, that then you have to focus on all these little aspects of it that you need to work on individually, along with that big trauma of that person and the experience. But I would never have learned how to do all that had that not happened. Now I feel like I can help others with that and be calm and reassuring about it. And you can get through it. It might take you time. It's not going to be magic overnight. It's an integrated thing, and there's lots of aspects of what could happen to you on a soul level because of the trauma and that type of thing. But it's definitely...
What can happen to you on a soul level?
Oh, well, that's a great question, Amanda. I don't think I talked to you about this when we talked. So I'll grab a piece of paper because it'll be easier, I guess. I'm very visual, so I have to use prompts and things.
Yes, please.
I have a PowerPoint that I usually share. So if this is the soul part of you that's integrated into your humanness, and if you are having frustration day or whatever, then maybe that frustration gets stuck in your energy, like here on you. And then maybe you have a sadness about something, then that's another energy that you shove down in, or you had something unexpressed. You maybe shove that in your throat chakra so it's unresolved because you didn't express it. But if you have a day in your life or a moment in your life where it was so traumatic, so much emotion, because emotion is energy. I know I refer to like cartoons with it makes more sense. Like Monsters, Inc., how they collected all the energy and the tubes and stuff. It powered their city. And I know that's a funny, weird analogy, but it's no different than our energy. These things that you shove in your own personal being is energy festering in you. So if you don't do the forgiveness work and all that kind of stuff, it sits in there. But if you have like a really horrible day, maybe someone really close to you passes, or you have a trauma experience like abuse or whatever, sometime a piece of you decides to go to a higher dimension and hang out because it's safe. And they're like, peace out. It's kind of like what it feels like, waiting for you to have grown enough or to get to a space where you can recollect that piece of you and bring it back so that you feel more whole and complete. But it's here for safekeeping, stuck in time and space. So like I have a lot of examples that I could talk to you about. That's kind of called a soul retrieval. I think other people have some other different terminology for it, but how it was expressed to me and taught to me, it's called soul retrieval because a piece of your soul is brought back to you. And so the first time that I had someone do that for me, it was a throat chakra thing directly connected to that rape. No say. I had no say in the matter. And so that affects your throat chakra. And I was in a group situation. I think there was like 8 or 10 of us. And the teacher did this soul retrieval thing on me, which took 5 minutes. My voice changed.
Wow.
Yeah. And everybody was like looking at me like I was like, what just happened?
I posted a TikTok where I was like, okay, so what is it? Is it, just not think about the past, like just move on and like, grow? Or do I have to go back and like get the parts of me, like, move on from the past you, like don't think about the past you, only think about the future? Or do you have to spend a lot of time getting yourself back from what you lost in the past?
Question. Light colored paper. But if you imagine like blobs of bruises of energy on your otherwise pristine energy, your soul part of you, the more that you release and heal, I really recommend like forgiveness work. It is not saying what someone did to you is okay. It is simply releasing that subconscious flow of energy to the situation, to that trigger, to that person, to that whole car wreck, whatever. When you do that, it clears the way for that channel of flow of chakra energy, which enhances your own intuition. It enhances your entire spiritual being to have that deeper connection, to feel that connection to source, as well as be grounded in this earth experience. Like I could be driving down the road and then something comes to mind of, I don't know, I'm making stuff up. When I was in 8th grade and someone said something rude and it came to mind like, oh, weird. Why is that coming up to me? It's almost like it's coming to the surface because now it's time to heal it. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, sending love to myself at that moment, forgiving that person for the words and all the stuff surrounding it. So I'm releasing it, kind of cutting cords with that. I'm not giving any more of my energy consciously or consciously to that, a whole experience, and I'm letting it go. And then it doesn't come back to my mind again because I've literally let it go. And which I used to hate when people would say that to me because I would be like, what do you mean? But it's really just, I'm no longer giving my attention because when you give your energy to something, it's no different than you plugging your cell phone in. And so if you can think of it in that kind of way, then that is the connection.
Yeah, I keep trying to ask her if she remembers before she was born. I really try to get something out of her, really nothing. And I tried to like, she watches some shows, so she'll know like, oh, monsters or like, I'm scared or something. So the first time I heard her say that, I was like, no, like we're not going to be scared. I didn't want to say, no, there's no such thing. Sure. But I didn't want, it's like in that moment, it's like, this is really important, like how you respond to this.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that she can, or I can raise her to be in touch with that if she's not saying things now?
So everyone is born with their intuitive faculties or abilities intact. The way that it was explained to me, the way I talk about it, we're born with everything that we had as a spiritual being. So like, if you think about it, like we're all hanging out in heaven, we're picking these lifetimes, but in that space, you use telepathy the entire time, which every time I think about that, man, it is the same as using your intuition. You're feeling things, you're thinking things. I'm thinking about what you're thinking about. I'm receiving information. You're receiving information. We're not speaking actual words. There's instant manifestation and all that kind of stuff, the way that I've been shown it over time. And when you're born here, you're so close to having just been there in heaven that you have all that intact. So like even you as a mom, you might have picked up stuff intuitively, telepathically. Hey, I need a bottle. Hey, I need my diaper changed. Hey, I want to snuggle. Or I'm tired, and no one says a word because you just know, like they call it mother's intuition, but it's really you telepathically receiving information because they're thinking about it, So they're born with that skill and ability. And it's definitely, and it's funny that we're talking about that because I even have a couple chapters in my bag in the car that I'm working on. That's part of my next book. And
oh my gosh. I was journaling and I put things together where I was like, I'm like, what is my place in connecting with the older women in the spiritual space? Like, what is my space as like the younger generation? And then it like popped in my mind where
they're
I was
not all old, by the way.
No, not me.
I know.
Not Gen Z. And it popped in my head. I was like kids, now it's going to be time for us to really learn how to teach our kids not teach, but
so many people, that including yourself, have already been born with that all intact. You know what I mean? Like you're really connected already and you have kept that kind of, sometimes it ebbs and flows. And I've met a lot of parents your age or older or whatever that are already kind of awake and aware. If I'd have known all the stuff that I know now when my kids were little, like even my daughter, she drew an angel. I have it sitting in my living room. I need to put in a frame, but she's got the crown chakra and the energy coming from it. This is something she drew when she was 4. She's got the heart and energy flowing from it, wings drawn on the back. And I always used to ask, oh, what'd you draw, honey? And I wrote it down. This is one of 13 that watch over me from the other side as part of my team. And I just, okay. And I wrote it down. And then I came across it years later after I woke up more in a real sense. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize she had done that or drawn that.
Wow.
And had that connection because she was clearly drawing an angel. And I was like, if I'd have known that then, it would have been a different conversation. I would have asked her more questions. So tell me about them. What's their message? What do they have to say? What do they say for you and for mommy and for your brother and all this stuff?
Yeah, sometimes it'll just come out. If she starts to say something, she can be like, oh, I have an idea. Or just out of nowhere, she wants to tell me something like, yes. And I'm just like waiting. And what else? And what else? Like, sure. I haven't quite got that yet. But they say like 3 is when that usually happens.
Well, she's communicating with you better at that time, right? Because that's a good age to have that kind of conversation because now they can speak in full sentences normally and that type of thing. But it's an open-ended question. But when they're in a meditative kind of state, like when I asked my daughter that question, she was mindlessly watching YouTube in its infancy. and I just randomly asked her the question and as she's watching kitty videos. And so it was, and then that she started talking to me about that. So she was mindlessly just in that theta brainwave meditative state that kids go in and out of normally up until the age of 8 or 9, honestly. So you have a decent amount of time, but the trick is, I don't know if it's a trick or not, but the idea is, my guys are correcting me, the idea is to keep them comfortable with everything and comfortable with, and given the terms to use, no different than this is an A, this is a B, that's red, that's blue. This is what it feels like when you're trusting your intuition. And, you can imagine, because that is the precursor or the practice for you and the same side of the brain that you use to trust your intuition, that you want to encourage. Being creative is always a great time. And that's also can bring that out. She could be, finger painting and you could ask her a question or right before they go to bed.
Yeah, before bed, she'll just turn to me and then just tell me like this whole thing that's on her mind. And then I'll be like, oh, that was so cute. So yeah, that's a window I feel like I can get from her.
Well, it's definitely the prime time. And it's really, that's a good time also. That's a theta state also, that brainwave state.
So you think if you could like tap in?
Tap it in.
Tap in.
Sure.
There's like,
what's your question?
I want to know what the scene is like. Like I can't see actual pictures in my head, in my mind.
That's okay. Most people don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people feel everything.
I just like think a lot. But yeah, I kind of want to like see the scene, like how in Journey of Souls of like, this is, I'm going to choose this life. I'm going to accomplish this. Like, this is what I want to work on. Yeah.
Okay. So I can do that. It's funny because I have seen this several times for myself. And I think I've taken somebody to that experience only a few times. They told me it was called the Education and Studies Building. And everything in heaven seems like it's Greek Roman styling. And I asked the question one time, wow, this looks like Greek and Roman. And they're like, well, why do you think that they were inspired to create that down here on this earth space? I'm like, okay, noted.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I walk in the building. There's a lot of geometry. There's so much math. There's so much math.
Oh, yeah, because everything's like numbers.
Everything is
an equation.
Well, there's sacred geometry to it, all that type of stuff. I remember walking in with, we have many different kind of spirit guides. So, and I know I spoke with you about that briefly when we did the reading. The council member spirit guide is the type of spirit guide that helps you pick out your path on a soul level for many of your lifetimes, not just this current one, but many over a millennia of time based on what it is that you choose. And so when you are working with them, and normally there is a small group of them, like 3, 5, I think 7 or 8 or 9 sometimes, depending on whatever you are choosing to do. And, you're talking with them and they're like, is that really what you want to work on? You sure you want to have another lifetime? And, you walk into this room and I just remember it having 6 sides to it. And you walked in and then each of these sides would illuminate depending on what I was choosing. So like if they had helped to narrow it down to a few lifetime choices, only 2 of these walls would illuminate. And they would show like a slideshow. It was like little snippets of videos, kind of like how shorts are, in a sense, of scenes from your life. And so you're standing there or sitting there with them and you're like looking at this one, looking at that one, and maybe this one over here if they show you more than a couple. And one time there was 5 at once. And I noticed that in this higher dimensional aspect, I could focus on all of it at once. And I was like, well, that's fascinating because I don't know how hard that is for most people, but I can't do that consciously as a human right this second. And so I noticed that I was able to be aware of and understand and comprehend all of it at once. And I was like, interesting. It's like then you kind of hone in on one of these and you're like, yeah, I think this one will work. And you get little snippets and you're watching through these little snippets. It's funny, I could call them shorts because it's so different because you're like a little clip. And you know that you're on the path that you picked out because you'll have deja vu in this current life for something simple. It seems simple. Like even I remember this experience just sitting down in the chair, opening up a book. And I was like, wow, this feels like deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a weird deja vu experience, right? And so but that was probably part of one of the things that I was shown before I chose this lifetime, because that book might have been something that I didn't know at the time when I sat down, impactful, And so, but they show you these little mini movies and then we're standing there, we're talking about, well, yeah, that's going to help you with this thing that you picked out and that thing that you picked out. And then kind of tune into that. And then you make the decision, yeah, I'm going to do that. And you come here as Amanda. I had a lifetime where I taught about love, taught about using the heart chakra, intuition, and all that kind of stuff. And it was just an amazing lifetime. And so I'm on the other side talking with my council member spirit guides. And I'm like, I want to do another one of those. They're like, no, next on your list is faith. And I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to pick between a monk or a Jesuit priest to learn faith. And I was like, all right, I guess that's what I'm doing next. It wasn't like I could pick to do something similar to what I had already done. Although they do tell me it's still your free will to choose whatever. And that was next on my list. And they showed me this like long list of all the stuff that I'm checking off.
Oh my gosh.
I know. That's what I was like, oh my gosh, it's not the words that I use, but swear words. I was like, I wanted to get back to
what else do I have coming up?
But I had picked those out as part of my journey because the more that you can connect to what it is that you want to learn, the more that you're helping everybody in a real sense. But after you pick things out, then you're born. And that aspect of it, how you pick and then are born, was never shown to me. Actually, I've never seen that. But I have had people remember being born and coming into this earth, watching over you as a mom, and picking you out, inspiring you with the name and all that kind of stuff. It feels like you're floating around, learning about the family and that kind of thing on a soul level. And then all of a sudden you're born, and then you're integrated into that little being that this newborn baby is, and start having this human life. It's fun.
Yeah. Like, does it take regressing me to find that out, or are you able to?
Like, you mean to see which specific one?
What specific?
Like
this life.
You want me to see what you did for this current lifetime?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like how you picked it out.
Yeah. Well, that's also, I think about my journey, like being on YouTube at 10 years old and how it's evolved to here, and having my daughter. I'm just really curious.
So I know we talked about Essentia as your council member spirit guide, and your life purpose was, and they kept saying to me, create. And I didn't even know you did YouTube stuff. Which, I apologize for that, I guess, but I'm not looking at anybody.
Yeah, no.
I just need your first name and I can tune in. But on a soul level, it's about creating and expressing. And so however you pick out this current life, you have to learn how to figure out how you're going to create and express. And now they're putting a ringing in my ear, which that means they're giving me information. That's so funny that's happening as we're talking. But let me ask them to show me what they did whenever you picked this life out. So they're showing me that same room. They're showing me that you had 4 different lives to pick. She's talking to me about 2 of them were male, 2 of them were female. She's telling me that you'd like to be female. I like girl power. She's showing me that guys are so adorable, and I so appreciate this. They will keep repeating stuff until I say it out loud. Yeah. It's so appreciative. I'm so appreciative of that. She's saying that there are 3 main hurdles that you chose for this current lifetime. You've gone through 2. And I'm asking for clarification on what she is defining as hurdles, easy or hard. Hurdles are hard. I'm asking what the 3rd hurdle is. And she's telling me it's really a combination of using the throat chakra and the solar plexus, and really voicing, and it's almost like voicing your personal power. She's not showing me exactly what that is, but if you continue to practice, you're really good at expressing. You're doing all this YouTube stuff, for heaven's sakes, you know what I mean? Without any holdback on expressing, sharing, and all that type of thing. That's very different than whenever you're expressing and sharing in a relationship, right? Because, sometimes we can talk about whatever to whoever, but then whenever you have to talk with somebody that is very close or near and dear to you, you don't want to not be loved. And I'm not saying you personally, I'm saying in general for people. And so it's figuring out a way to stand your ground and to communicate that with something that it feels kind of how you did with your, in a real sense, which I don't know if you've talked about that too much on here, but it's standing your ground with all that and continuing to do that in a real way. But it feels like what she's showing me, it almost feels like more like someone's giving you a contract for something and you're like, no, I need to have green M&Ms always, or something like that. Like you're standing your ground, you're putting something in it that they have to follow and abide by to respect you on a real sense, whatever it is that you choose to have or want or need in the experience that you're going to share with them in some way. And this doesn't feel romantic. It feels more work related in a sense.
I just left my manager that I've been with for like 14 years.
So you put your foot down, you stood your ground. Same thing, right? So when you find a new person, then you can add, I don't know why they're saying green M&Ms. I know that I have heard that some people who work in the light and in the public light, where they, there's bands or something, they can have Skittles, but they can only have this color of them or something silly like that. They don't even make green M&Ms anymore, I don't think.
So I'm supposed to be a diva. So so all I have to do now is just be a diva.
So if you would be like, well, that's okay, you forgot that. That's not using, I need to be respected, right? So like if someone is truly respecting you, even if it's something minor like green M&Ms, and I really don't think they make them anymore, but that's a silly example, but it's important because if that's the way it should be, that is a black-white situation. No, this is what the contract is. This is what I'm expecting, and it's out of respect for yourself. No, that has to be adhered to. And then, oh, well, you've set that boundary. Now I have to adhere to that. And that's applicable to all kinds of things, not only just a contract, but also for every other aspect of your life, other people, friends, family, and your awareness, where if you are not demanding it, well, contract kind of is demanding, but like commanding respect. No, it's really part of the contract. You're not being like mean about it. Nope, this is part of the contract. This is the things that I expect. It's no different than if you are working a day job and your boss is like, yeah, I know you work 8 hours already, but I need you to work 4 more, and you have no say in the matter. There's no respect there. And you have to be back at work at 6 a.m. the next day. That's not fair. There's no respect for your sleep, your safety, your food, nutrition, all the stuff that now you can't access, or even your home life and your family. But that's about really setting the boundaries, and that makes it, now they have to respect you in a real way, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah, I've noticed that with having to leave situations, and especially after my abusive relationship, then I dated someone else, and then I realized like, oh, this is where it starts, and like this is where it's out of control, and like this is where I don't think that you're a bad person, but the way that you trigger me is causing inappropriate emotions to be having, and it's not safe.
Yeah, you want to feel safe always in a relationship, 100%.
I feel like that's the most message I feel like I get, but it's been so confusing. The legal issues of me not being able to speak about it. It just felt like everything was like kept telling me like, girl, like speak up, like say something. It's real like danger to me. And it seems like if I said things online in the past that have hurt me, is that really what I'm being guided to?
So you don't ever want to bash somebody because that's bad karma, right? But instead of that, maybe the perspective of, if you find yourself in an abusive situation, here are some techniques and tools that you could use to recognize that. Helping people understand or recognize, sometimes you don't even know that you're being love bombed. And then they're really mean to you one moment, and then they love bomb you and you forget about this. And that's just like, to recognize when you're being love bombed. Just talking about that one aspect would be helpful.
So
versus talking about the person experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I have noticed sometimes I'll just like, something will pop in my head about like a relationship pattern, and I make a little TikTok, and those always do really well.
Nice.
But then I'm like, how do I couldn't control that. I just woke up, I was like, boom, okay, like, let's go.
Well, no, you're asking for guidance. And so that's why you're getting the inspiration. The guides are coming through you, giving you that inspiration because they know you're going to reach people that many of the people who listen to you are going to hear it, and that'll help them. Now you're helping people who then can help people who then can help people, and you've done your job in a sense. And then you start talking about something else that might help them again or remind them of that. I've met so many women, unfortunately, that have been in bad situations, and it's not a fun time. Talking about it's not a fun time. Helping them understand that it's a pattern that sometimes has leaked into past lifetimes, started there. But what I have been guided to do is to help people understand, you know what, you haven't always had bad lifetimes and bad experiences. You have had very loving lifetimes. And wouldn't it be nice to find those types of experiences so that people have a frame of reference?
You can remember it in your body.
Right. So now you know what that feels like or looks like, and the respect that you can receive and the nurturing that you can receive, that it is to your benefit, because that can be your new pattern that you're choosing in this current lifetime.
Totally.
It's recognizing that you've not always been in these abusive situations and stuff like that. And if you can bring that pattern forward of love and respect and nurturing and all those kinds of things that goes with it, you've picked this particular iteration of you in this current lifetime so that you can clear out even DNA ancestral patterns as well as past life patterns to help you in this now, and you help all the folks that are attached to you and even your little sweetheart. that has come from you, because you're clearing those kinds of patterns that have, they're saying the word actually, embodied within you, no different than your hair color or your eye color. And you're recognizing that and releasing it also. And it's kind of like a forgiveness too, that we're here to and have chosen some of these very difficult lives to go through all these kinds of traumas, which suck, for a reason, so that we can clear out all of that and prevent it from moving forward into our children and their offspring. It's very far reaching.
Could something traumatic happen in my life, not even for me? Like, I don't get really anything in this life out of it.
Well, you're always getting healing out of it.
Yeah.
Right? No matter what, even you learning how to put your foot down, set your boundaries, learning how to love yourself. You're surrounding yourself with pink, which we started talking about. You know, that's the higher heart chakra. That's all about loving yourself. You know, you're on purpose, subconsciously using the pink microphone. I mean, and I love that for you. I had to have pink on today and red, root chakra. And I had other clothes on, which I switched real quick before I came in, because this was the color they told me to wear. I don't pick my clothes out. They pick them out because it's always indicative of the chakra that I'm working with someone on. And so we got the pink and the red, and it's fun. You don't even realize it's happening. You know, and the outfit that you're wearing is kind of like a green hue, and that's your heart, you know? And so we're all talking about the heart here, not even aware of it. And you resonate with that color, it helps you heal. It is always about you, because if you are doing the inner healing, it's reflected through so much beyond you. It's almost like your light that got turned on, and you're illuminating and cleansing and clearing and dissolving the stuff that no longer serves your DNA ancestral pattern, your future offspring with Gaia and her children and theirs and all the type of stuff, and also all of your past lifetimes. So you're cleansing and clearing and dissolving these patterns and rules and vows and things. And a lot of us chose these really difficult lifetimes. Of course, you're helping yourself, but it's a residual effect that helps the others as well. Did I answer your question?
No, not really, because I don't know what is on the other end of this for me. Nothing ever clicked like that. Like there are many times, like, you know, earlier on in my healing where I'm like, oh, this happened to me for this reason. And, you know, I'm going to come out of it and I'm going to be a better person because of this. And that's it. And then it's like, oh no, like things keep being hard and keep not getting better. It just made me think, like, what is it that I need to be doing? Or is it like I am destined to just take these
a different
few years?
You're talking about with boys? You're talking about in general?
No, but like work too, everything. You know, I think the pink and the green, all that, and I chopped my hair off when you told me that I gotta wait for the guy. I was like, you know what? Yeah.
I thought you just had it all braided back.
Oh, and which is funny because that was the first thing you said to me about like Gaia cutting her hair all off. And I was like,
okay,
yeah,
it's all right. So it grows back. It's when I was talking with Archangel Chamuel about true love things, finding someone that's your true love soulmate, that type of thing, because you're doing all this inner work, which can be difficult. I feel broken. There's all this stuff. There's one more thing. But the more that you uncover and release this true love relationship, because now you've cleared out all those blocks, patterns, rules, maybe you wrote in some past lifetime, maybe one of your ancestors wrote in some previous generation, and you are recognizing it, acknowledge it, and release it, forgive it. It's become very apparent that you become more healed, and you only expect people who are as healed to come into your experience. It's like a huge awareness of that. I know that you're in the midst of going through a lot, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel that you haven't reached yet. So patience might be the lesson for right this second. It feels like a lot of patience. Relationships are not easy. It doesn't matter who with, friends, lovers, whomever. It's figuring out how to be your true authentic self and show up in that relationship and to be respected back being your true authentic self. And if that can't happen, then you either associate with that person in a different way, you know what I mean? Or dismiss them from your life. It's not easy, but you'll start to resonate with people who are more in line with you. I only allow mutually supportive and loving people in my life. I can't even tell you how many thousands of times that I've said that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I have mutually supportive and loving people in my life, and I have nice people everywhere I go. I mean, those are two of the mantras that I love. Even before I came here, I ran into people that were super helpful and nice. It's just magic.
Neighbors outside here?
It's a whole long story. But I don't know if that helps or not, but I mean, it definitely feels like in line with what we talked about when I was giving your reading. I mean, you have to take time for yourself and really connecting in with that, spending time with Gaia and enjoying her when she's young like she is right now, because that's so much fun. And then you can blossom and grow and include someone else as a relationship kind of person in your life.
What about career or like purpose kind of path? Because it feels like everything at once for me.
Yeah, it's almost like a lot of people are going through that same thing. It's almost like they're taking the rug and shaking it out, getting rid of all the garbage, and then smoothing it out. It's going to get easier. Well, you're already making changes. You just mentioned that. You switched out the person who was helping you.
Haven't found anyone new yet.
It feels like there's at least two people, and they both feel female, talk with you, and then you can choose. They're both very nice. This is specific for, I guess, a manager. One will say something to you that is like, yes, she gets it. Mm-hmm. Where the other one, they're equally as competent and knowledgeable, but the one, because of what they said, is going to make the difference. They get you.
Oh my God, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I spent like the past 10 years with someone that did not.
Yeah, you need to find that connection, right? So now that you're trusting your intuition, like, I don't know how you go about finding a manager, but it definitely feels like there are people who do this for a living who are looking at your channel, you know, and contemplating that. Does she need a manager? You know what I mean? So it's, I feel like they reach out to you. I don't feel like you have to do the work to find them.
Really?
That makes it easy putting it out there. But yeah, because it feels like you have lots of spam coming your way anyways, but it definitely feels like someone who knows you knows them. And that's how you make that acquaintance and connection. That feels easy. You won't look at the emails and stuff like that. I don't know about your emails, but I get so much garbage sometimes. And so it's, but that feels like that'll fall into place, and it feels like it won't be as long as you think it's going to take. Like maybe 6 months. I don't know how long you like to have a lapse in that, but it doesn't take that long. Never bringing up the green M&Ms again. I don't know what the heck that's about. It's like having a specific thing in there that if you're expected to do this, that, or the other thing, that has to be part of it. I don't know why they're bringing that up.
Well, that's
a funny thing.
Yeah, it's gonna make sense in some way.
It's weird now, but it will make sense. Like maybe someone talks to you about that or uses that as an example at some other time, or maybe they're just using green M&Ms because we're talking about the heart chakra, which is a green color. And so
I think also they don't have the green M&Ms anymore, right?
So. I don't.
Only Christmas themed, maybe.
Maybe. They should.
But
one of the colors out.
Yeah, green. I think there's no green.
Maybe there was no blue.
No, there has to be blue.
I don't know.
Yellow, maybe?
It's been so long.
Yeah.
And they change it up, and you can order anything you want online. If you go to the M&M store, they have a billion colors.
Put your pictures on them.
Okay. You know, like, anyways. But I mean, it's, I don't feel like you put in there green M&Ms. Does that seem silly? But I mean, it's about being very specific about it and setting the boundaries about it. And no, I'm expecting this. This is part of the contract, and not backing down on it. And so, and it's almost like this is my expectations, and adhering to that. I mean, your guide wants you to know you're a very nurturing, loving being. And so that is something that can be infused in what you're putting online. And are you going to do some speaking engagements outside of online?
I don't have that planned.
Have you ever done any of that?
I mean, I've been on panels for
Okay.
YouTube.
See, you
In the
have gone
past.
to YouTube things.
Yeah. Yeah, in the past.
Because I feel like that might be part of more of the PR that you do for yourself to integrate yourself within those things. I like to say that I dabble on the YouTube. I try to post something every week, but I don't spend a lot of time watching a lot of this stuff. But there are opportunities to be on other people's, be a guest on even some of the podcasters, other channels and things like that to express and communicate the things that you're learning about, your astrology, all the things that you talk about online now with this podcast and beyond. I mean, that's another way of getting your word out there. You know, having somebody organize and do all that type of thing is helpful. But they're showing me you on a stage talking.
By myself?
By yourself. Because why not? Right? I mean, because you could help people with a lot of different things. And I know you do fashion and makeup and all that kind of stuff, but it's you're more than that, you know, truly. And it's really bringing, it's almost like your audience is all female, even looking at the audience, and or female inclined. And so it's really, you're helping. It almost feels like an empowerment type of conversation that you're having to help them feel empowered within. And that is nurturing and inspiring. It definitely feels like empowerment. Like people walk out of there and they're like, oh, so wonderful. You know what I mean?
Like a TED Talk?
Yeah. Oh, that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a 20-minute discussion about your favorite topic.
Love that.
Why
Love
not?
that.
And so, oh yeah, it's like a TED Talk. Although there's a black curtain behind you. There's showing me you on the stage. Do they have a black curtain behind TED Talk stuff? I know they have the big screen with the PowerPoints and all the jazz, but it's a black curtain.
Ooh, maybe like Harvard. It's a Harvard fashion school. I mean, it's
I mean, but you have so much depth with everything that you've done since the time you were 10 until now. And you could talk about how you've gone from makeup to fashion to now metaphysical stuff. You've evolved. And, you know, what's next, right? But it feels like you're reaching groups of people, and then that's like a paid gig. You know what I mean? And you are then collecting more followers and more people tuning into your podcast and everything else. It's just a nice way to connect in with all of that. Yeah, you're on the stage alone by yourself with a microphone, and you're always dressed so prettily. And so it's elegant. There's making me use the word elegant, like elegantly. And so, but you're there alone, very confident, walking back and forth, talking. And it does feel like a TED Talk, but I don't see a PowerPoint behind you. Not that you have to have one, I don't think. You know, I don't know if that's a requirement or not, but I don't see one behind you. It just feels like a solid black curtain, and you are popped with the light and the colors that you're wearing.
Well, I can't wait till I find those words.
Well, I think that you have them already in all the stuff that you've done so far.
Well, I guess I'm just, you know, I do like the work that I've put out, and I stand behind it all. And
Sure.
it's just, you know, I don't know when people are going to recognize it, you know?
Are you
Like,
talking about the metaphysical stuff? Or are you talking about astrology?
you know, my view, my opinion, my advice.
Do you think people aren't listening to you now?
Yeah, but it's not like
I
I'm
think
going to
they
be
are.
on a stage, like changing people's lives at a performance. Not currently now.
So like it almost feels like a motivational talk. So like there are lots of groups that have like a keynote speaker that comes to begin a day-long session of meetings of other kinds, and they have someone come in to get them excited, get them motivated for life in general. And there's no reason you couldn't choose to do that, you know, or even with this future manager, have them inquire about, schedule, and set up those types of things, right? It definitely feels like very motivational. It definitely feels like the audience is full of women. So it's opening up your whole intuition, man, and really just trusting it. I mean, there's so much that you could choose to do. You have so much content you could draw from. Like they're showing me another, different than when you're in that education and studies building with your house member spirit guide. They're showing these little snippets of this current lifetime. You've already created that on your channel. So what if you had like the review of everything you've done, and like no different than how they've shown some of those videos where that same person had their photo taken every year or something like that. Look at what has happened with them. Look at how they've changed and evolved. You could show little snippets of everything you've done over the last several years. It's incredible where you've come from. Honestly, humbling to review. It's a lot. That's a lot of work.
So does that like analogy mean that, because there's a few things that I do, like fashion designer, influencer, speaker.
They're bringing up the Shark Tank to me again.
Blade.
That email.
And I also said TED Talk.
I was like, okay, so he said TED Talk. You said TED Talks.
Yeah.
And Shark Tank. Okay. And I was like, she just said Shark Tank and someone else said Shark Tank too random.
I sent you an email about this.
Yeah.
I was hearing Shark Tank for your fashion. Like, because they could take it to the next level.
Well, yeah. It's like, maybe am I just pitching to the wrong people?
Maybe. I mean, you have these avenues of choices, right? It's no different than if you want to date this guy versus that guy versus this guy. You have all this skill set.
But I can't do them all.
Well, you can, but it's almost like you want to give your attention and focus to this and that. You want to make sure they all kind of go together in a sense. But because fashion has been your gig for so long, I mean, you're bringing that glow, that light to everything else in your life. I mean, in regards to the fashion aspect of stuff, you're not creating outfits for men to wear, so it could definitely incorporate all of that in that, because why not? I mean, there's really nothing holding you back. We're co-creating this entire experience that we're having right this minute, every second.
But aren't there certain things that will be more or less resistant to our efforts?
So if you wanted to go start rebuilding cars tomorrow, that's not your vibe, right? You could, but it's not your vibe, right? And that's a really weird example someone's given me as opposite of what you would be interested in doing. Do you create the clothes that you have in your line? I mean, I don't see why you couldn't just apply to be on Shark Tank. They keep bringing it up. I mean, they're showing me you on their stage that I've only watched their show a few times. And I actually met somebody who did a keynote for a meeting that I planned a long time ago when I used to work in corporate. They're showing me the woman that has the longer straight hair talking with you because she gets it. I don't know her name. I'm assuming she's still on the show because they switch out people once in a while. But I mean, they're showing me her sitting there interested, watching, and you have mannequins or models standing there with your clothes on.
Has anyone gone on for like a normal clothing brand?
So what? I don't know, actually. I'm not an expert on their show. I saw a clip one time where somebody had created Drop. She only put out their stuff for 2 days, and that was it. And that was her entire process online, and then took it back off, and she made X dollars, and they were all freaking out about it. Whether that was real or not, or a real clip, I don't watch the show, so I can't speak to that. But it's you have nothing to lose, right? I mean, I've seen people come on there with some crazy stuff, but it's definitely like a lock and for a door. I mean, other stuff.
Maybe like I've acted, I've modeled, I've done it all, and I like all of it. I personally would like to spend my time doing what's going to get me farthest.
So are you being monetarily or career?
I need to be able to like sustain it, because, to just be like an influencer, like that could be really demanding all the time. I'm also a single mom.
Right.
And so it's been impossible to like perform my best at any of them. I know I need to give something like my focus and intention.
Yeah.
But I'm And that's what I did with this podcast, because I thought that was going to be able to, this was going to be able to,
Your next thing.
help support my clothing brand.
I see.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, YouTube is where there's ads and stuff like
Sure,
that. And this
sure.
is what I want to do anyways. I was also like, I'm going to see if like maybe this is what the universe wants to do. And then I then kind of learned that actually my clothing brand can make me a lot more money than I'm making right now. From it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what if you have the clothing brand and you have someone else manage it for you?
Yeah, I would love if I just had
Do you know what I'm
to,
saying?
Design. Yeah.
Because then you get to do the part of it that you enjoy and love the most, because then that's what you're doing. Like, I know that it's when you start following the things that make you feel excited, that's the right direction. And if you're excited about it, other people get excited about it. If it's easy, it's the right path. It starts being hard, then that's not your thing, you know? And it might be 5 years from now till you're on that stage speaking about it. But it's definitely a potential in your future. It's still your free will choice to choose. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Still, I mean, it's just things that they're showing me in fine detail, feels like, of you being very confident, standing there, and people just like about it. What if you were creating a huge line of fashion, but you came from this 10-year-old that was on YouTube? You're marrying all that together, right? And there's no reason why you can't integrate it. I mean, there's a lot of people that have done a lot of different things in different ways. Like some of the actors have like vineyards and alcohol brands and clothing lines and purse lines and makeup lines and like sodas or something.
Seltzers.
I mean, like you can do whatever you want, but it just doesn't make you happy. It is the main gist. And is it helping others? You know what I mean? Feel pretty when they wear your fashion, or they're getting some knowledge and understanding out about these kinds of talks and that kind of stuff. This is like another passion of yours to learn more about the metaphysical things and to pull the tarot cards, which are fun to listen to, and have the guests on and things like that. I mean, it makes it very cool. But there's no reason why you can't integrate that. Or if there's an aspect of it, just hire someone to do that part of it. I know it's easier said than done, but what if you created, I don't know much about the fashion world, to be honest, but it definitely feels like, I guess I'm going from the Prada, Devil's Wears Prada movies, you know, but it's like, it feels selective somewhat, but fun. Utilizing the popularity that you currently have online will help enhance your products. You know what I mean? It just goes together back and forth. And as long as you're always integrating and speaking about both, all of your aspects while you're doing this or that, I don't feel like it would be one or the other. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe that's what the resistance is thinking I have to choose one or like focus on one, but it's something. Well, you know, I became a YouTuber and influencer before that was a thing.
Absolutely.
So maybe my career life purpose is not yet labeled.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that, are you wearing your outfit that you've created?
No, I can't.
Right? When you're doing your YouTube videos, looks like something you would have created.
I'm just like, I want to have more of those moments where I wake up and I just get this like, oh my gosh, like I'm thinking about this and I need to just say this. And I just post a quick little video, and that's where people really connect to it.
Sure.
I feel like if I try to think of what things I could do, then it becomes, then it doesn't work.
Yeah. Feels fake.
So I don't know if there's like any like advice.
I mean, even in my YouTube videos, I have the books that I've written sitting behind me. It's like subtle, but there, right? But I mean, you could wear one of your outfits and be doing you, just doing you without mentioning it or whatever.
I don't have an issue, like a problem, like integrating them all.
Sure.
But what's missing from making it work? Because I can't do more. Like I know that I do as much as I can.
Well, and you definitely need to have a break. I mean, and that's probably why they're talking about, you know, having a relationship in your life. It's another aspect of work. Not that a relationship is work. It can be, yes, but it's still, if you have a finite number of hours in your day and half of it is your literal work, then half of it has to be home life, working with your child and hanging out with her and taking care of your home and doing all the fun that you do, you still have to find time for you, which is why I feel like that's why you have to wait for them to be in your life, that relationship person. You know what I mean? Which sucks too, but it's also, I mean, if you want to focus on your career, then that's what you should focus on, career and your little sweet peas.
Yeah, I was totally off dating and I was like, it's not happening. I don't trust myself really.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. And then I started dating again because I just was getting messages and stuff where I was like, oh, I should do, it was really exciting. I'm like, okay, yay. Like, I'm glad I was guided here. And then it like, all ends or goes like
fizzled out.
And I'm like, that wasn't worth it. Like that was fun, but it's not.
But do you notice the time that you spent on them? You could have been designing some outfits that makes you really happy.
Yes, but except these little ones that I'm talking about, like right now, because like obviously it's different dating with a child than it was before.
Because then you're going for ice cream with the child. Maybe not right away.
Is there like anyone that's like I can like flirt with like before this?
Guys. But back to career though, do you see what I'm saying? When you take a break from the relationship concern, worry, you're giving all that emotional attention to it. It's kind of like you have $10 to spend every day. Where are you putting that energy? Where are you spending it?
Mm-hmm.
And if I know you want to have a relationship because it feels nice and good and you want to be like nurtured in that kind of way, but what if instead you focus on your career for right now and took a break from all that? I know you want to be with somebody, but what if you did that and really full force because that feels more important at this moment, truly, because you want to have a stable something occurring. Because what if you have someone managing your design and doing all the extra work that's involved with that you don't have to do. And now you have more time for yourself because all that is set in place. And you can just, every Friday night, I'm going to design something. That's part of your vibe. That's part of your pattern or your schedule in a sense. And then on Mondays, you're recording videos. On Tuesdays, you're editing and kind of organize it in that kind of way around playing with Gaia. And then after you have all that kind of set in place, then somebody else is managing all the other stuff, the website, that's so much work and helping you to really push that brand out into the world. And then you have time for the relationship because all that's kind of set in place and you have a steady flow of income coming to you. That feels easier than trying to throw in the guy and then you get derailed in a real sense from what you're meant to be doing. Because you came here on this earth, not because you need to have this relationship or that relationship, not dismissing relationships, but sometimes it's a bigger purpose. When they started talking with me the first time I met you over Zoom, not that long ago, it feels like actually, they were screaming in my head, create. And that isn't go have a relationship.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so it's finding that way to respectfully decline having a relationship right now, but knowing that that's there for you in the not too distant future. And to really allow yourself to go and give all of your attention and creative energies to your career first, to have that all set up and in place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I've been doing that. I've been working a lot. It's just, I guess I keep just trying to ask, like, am I working too hard? Is that why things are not working out? Am I supposed to make more connections with people? And that's what's going to make it work out.
So you're posting YouTube, you have a fashion design thing. I mean, do you want to act or model still? Do you do
Well, I just like cut my hair off. So I was like, I think I can model. That'd be fun. Try it out.
But that's a whole other aspect of.
Well, I've always had like a modeling agency too. It's kind of like part of the like influencer thing.
That feels like so far over here.
Yeah.
That's not even a.
Well, because I really wanted to be a model when I was younger. And then I tried this stuff and I just was like too short. And it was
a high requirement
for modeling. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then, at the time, it just was like, it felt like I was watching a lot of people get what I couldn't. And same with like acting. Acting wasn't my only thing I did. So even though I could do well, and I did enjoy it. I do enjoy being on a set and like acting.
Nice.
But the process of auditioning and how much you put into it to be just rejected and
So much energy spent.
yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, it's different because there's people that move out to LA and their one thing is acting. They want to be an actor. So I can't really compete with that.
But what if you've just narrowed it down to the two things you love the most? You love the fashion. You love your YouTube channel, you know, and all this other stuff is fun to dabble in. But it feels like if you give your energy to that, then you're not spread thin either, you know. And it's not putting all your eggs in one basket either, someone is saying to me. It's really, if a modeling opportunity comes up, great. If an acting opportunity comes up, fantastic. And there's stores where people are randomly selected for acting stuff. They haven't even auditioned. And if that comes up, great. But then that's still other work because you still have that mom aspect. That's super important at this time because, you know, she'll be a grown up in a blink. Get those teenage years and they're like, Mom, who? You know what I mean? It's enjoying that time with her now. It's going to be super important. You don't want to miss that.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot to think about, but I feel like when you talk about the other things that you have done with acting and modeling, that feels like over here, like, but when, you know, you've worked at creating this space where you have, I can't say the word, subscribers, and you have the ability to post and talk about things in such a genuine way that people are resonating and connecting with you. And a couple people that I talked to about your name that are in your age group, they're like, I used to watch her all the time.
Yeah.
And they resubscribed to you because I said, I'm going to be on our show. And so you have that ability to get people that they just loved you. And that was I watched her every day or every time she posted or whatever was the response. And so it's nurturing that, nurturing your subscribers and, you know, reconnecting with them like you have been because you had a lull of time for a minute and then allowing yourself to create more of that and to create more of your fashion. Those two things, they're illuminated. And that means that's the direction that will make you feel the most fulfilled, the most happy. Income follows. And I know you wanted to get into past life regression work and all that kind of stuff, and that just feels like, yes, that will happen, but it feels like it takes time to get there also. It would be learning how to also now, how are you going to incorporate that in your already busy life?
Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, well, that's just, when I got that information, I was like, okay, not really helpful for now. It's like, okay, that's cool to know.
But there's nothing holding you back. You're young. I mean, I didn't start doing all this kind of stuff. I didn't have my daughter until I was 32. And so and then I didn't start getting into this stuff until a few years later. And then I got trained with Brian Weiss. That was such a fun time. Such a long time ago, it seems like. I didn't know what I was meant to be doing. I just did marketing for a living. And so, not that I didn't enjoy that, because I certainly did, but now I get to apply what I learned in a different way, you know, and it's all incorporated. And you'll start to look back on your life 10 years from now and be like, wow, I did this, this, and this because of now I'm doing that. And that's all makes sense now. And you don't realize it when you're going through it, though. That's the hard part.
Yeah, I do think about how deep and depressed I have been and I've gotten in my mind to know that my path is motivating people on how to love their lives and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm just like, you know, at least that means I make it through.
Think of all the people that you're touching. You make them feel connected and you're so authentic when you're talking on your vlog and all that kind of stuff. You're not acting. It's just you coming through. And that's what people resonate with and connect to. Even you describing just all the moving in, so much work. You know, it is. It is so much work. And a lot of people connect with that and get it. And then they get to see this new aspect of you, learning how to do all this metaphysical things. A lot of people are just, you know, we've all come into this world being intuitive, but it's almost like we're coming online in a sense, and our energy of knowledge about that is being amplified, talked about. I mean, even when I first got into all this kind of stuff, I couldn't find someone to talk to about it. It was very hard. And now they're everywhere, it feels like, to me anyways. And I've met so many wonderful people, and it's just more are happening all the time. I talked about it on another podcast. I mean, a lot of other psychics talk about this too. I mean, more and more and more people are waking up. Those who are talking about it now are going to help the people who are going to wake up months from now. To have all this kind of information out there already is going to be super helpful.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it, where I was like, even if this is like, even if I don't do it every week anymore, but I just do it whenever I have a good guest and something I want to talk about.
Yeah, no pressure, right?
Yeah, it still exists there because, you know, we know this stuff, but other people don't, but they will know.
Well,
eventually.
Right, exactly. Because it doesn't just happen overnight. Even all the stuff that I'm talking to you about, it took me years to understand and to feel comfortable with, to have that confidence in tuning in. And I started with past life stuff, but through that, you just got intuitive because you're clearing away all of the blockages that opens those channels up for your intuitive skills. But most people don't get that. Sometimes people just think you're born with it, or you can read their mind. It's really a slow taper of understanding. It definitely, for me, I was overwhelmed at first. And now I'm like, oh yeah, no, I understand what you're talking about. You know, and it's nice when I can find other people who are equally open and awake and understanding of all of the topics that we talk about. Eventually, we'll all get there. People that talk about it online, like you, I mean, are helping so many others who maybe didn't contemplate it or don't have somebody to talk to about it. And now they're like, I'm not alone.
I mean, that's why I started the podcast, because I genuinely did not have anyone around me that wanted to listen to me talk about this.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you'll start to find that though. You know, even you pulling the cards and talking about astrology and stuff like that, you're teaching them, even if they have to listen to it over many years, now they start to understand what you're talking about with Scorpio rising and all that fun. And so it's definitely, it takes time.
So I had this idea, if I am going to meet this future husband of mine.
Still see him in my head.
Yeah. That you described him as like literally like my last ex-boyfriend, which is like.
Yeah, not him.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you connect with him though, because he looked like him.
Who?
You said he looked like, I was describing your past boyfriend.
Yeah.
But do you see, even on a subconscious level, that might be what they look like? So you resonated towards them.
Okay. So I literally, like, I always dated the same type. And then, you know, I went through my abusive relationship. So then I was like, okay, let's try something new. Then I tried something new. And this is ex-boyfriend. Then when I realized that that was not the one and I didn't want to be in that relationship anymore, I was like, really like, wow, thank God. You know, the one that wasn't really my type is not the one, just not the one. Okay. So I guess I can go back to my normal type. It's like, then you just told me that no, it actually is that type.
But you don't want to play her, honey.
I always like really like gentle, sweet.
Okay, good.
Guys' energies, but
well, that's what you deserve, though, right? Yeah. Someone that's going to be nurturing and sweet and nice, just like how you are. So you want that match.
Except I don't love living like in my masculine. So that's a lot of times the relationships like I would be in, where like the men would want me to take care of everything, and like, and now I'm a single mom, so I'm like literally in it.
Is that really being a masculine, or is that just you being a mom?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but no one sees that. I was talking about this with Blade because Blade has just started. He's been staying here like for a week with me, and he's never been like around like nonstop with me momming. And he's like, you know, this is so physical. Like, I don't know how you do this every day. And
busy.
Before, like when we hung out before, like I didn't know you were going through all of this. Like, it's not like that you hid it, but you just didn't, no one knew. And I'm like, I'm not trying to hide anything. I want people to know really badly. I want people to understand the weight that it actually is, because I didn't before. That's why it's like I want people to be able to grasp it. so they don't make bad decisions.
Sure.
And I was like, so how do I articulate that for people to understand? And Blade was like, you just can't. No one
Well,
will.
yeah, you can't until you're in it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're a very attentive mom and taking care of her all the time and taking care of all of her needs. It's part of being a mom, and it's a lot of work. It's kind of thankless when you're going through it, unless you get those hugs and kisses from your little kids, and then you're like, oh, your heart just melts. But it's and Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
That just happened too. But I mean, it's definitely, I think that's for everything. If you haven't experienced it or gone through it, you don't get it. But there's a lot of tired.
Same with emotional abuse.
Correct. Any kind of abuse.
The
All of that.
family court system.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. And
It's hard.
I'm an open book. Like, I'm like, literally anyone can ask me anything, and I post everything online. Not everything. Like, I am pretty private, but
Sure.
But people don't ask. I feel like, I don't know, I've never had that filter of like, oh, don't ask something so personal or so deep. Like,
Yeah.
just say it. Like, oh, it's on your mind. Like, yeah, ask whatever. So I feel like I haven't had the opportunities. How do I shed light on the realities of,
How much work it is just to have
yeah.
all the stuff that you've got going on. I mean, is it necessary to express and to share all of that?
You know, I felt like
Truly.
I was never witnessed, you know?
Okay.
So like if I'm going out alone with Gaia and I'm taking
Yeah.
her somewhere and I'm like trying to pick up all these bags and
I
pick her up and
know.
scream crying, and it's like,
Yeah.
she doesn't know that she's making it harder for me.
No,
There's not
they
someone
don't
else
know.
there that normally would,
Help.
yeah, have an extra hand. Just like, oh, I'll hold that bag for you.
I don't know. I get it.
And it's, yeah, so you're just doing miracles every day that like no one's seeing. And it's just like,
Well, I mean, she's still in a car seat, I'm assuming, too. And I mean, and you're lugging that and lugging her. And if they're sleeping, you know what I mean? That's heavy. With all the stuff, you can't leave them. It's, yeah, kids are fun. But they get big fast. So just
big.
keeping that in mind.
so big.
Look how big she is already.
Yeah.
It gets easier when they get bigger, truly. As soon as they start, it feels like 6 or 8, something like that. I mean, they're doing their thing, and then forget it. I to bring up the teenager thing, it'll be here tomorrow.
So I started my YouTube channel at 10.
Right.
And
You know how you were.
yeah, I'm curious as to if Gaia's soul has plans of following in footsteps or...
Oh, what does Gaia want to do? She's very artistic. It feels like she'll be good in school. Like she'll do good in school. She feels very studious. I don't see you really quitting doing the YouTube. I mean, I feel like she sits with you and does it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like as a young person. Maybe not so much when she's 3. I mean, she's having fun with it. But she's been around it all her whole life, you know? So it's like part of her. She chose you, you know, to be because of everything. She definitely feels like creative and studious, which is interesting. Not that you can't be studious when you're creative.
I feel like I'm both.
Yeah. So she takes after you for sure. They're showing me her older traveling on a train. She definitely feels like creative and studious, which is interesting. Not that you can't be studious when you're creative.
I feel like I'm both.
So she just she takes after you for sure. They're showing me her older traveling on a train, which I was like, that's not random. It's a train, not a subway. Like she's backpacking it or something. In her later teenage years, like as an exploration of her own self, she's got some path choices. Just be mindful who she's friends with when she starts to be a teenager. Like mindful. Like almost reminding her of the 5 people you hang out with enhance you or can deflate you. So being mindful of who you're hanging out with. The reason they showed me her on the train, she's very happy. She's glowing. It's very bright. She's got a backpack. She's traveling. She's happy about it. And she feels alone. like just she wanted to do this on her own. But that also feels like she's like 19 or 20. She's not like a young person.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like those formative years in high school, which are never easy, or like these chrysalises that are going through all those changes of crazy hormones at that time. But it feels like if she has choices at that time where not so great crowd, a couple girls that she starts hanging out with either drag her down or she stands her ground and she moves over to the studious. She's carrying stuff like, I want to say their books, but I know that they use iPads and that stuff. They got this studious vibe. She's more happy. She's more bright where that feels wrong path.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you have to be the helicopter mom and watching over who she's hanging out with and all that kind of stuff, but that feels like addictive behaviors versus focusing on your future and your enjoyment around the age of 15, 16, 15. So being mindful of that when that time comes.
That's similar to my high school experience. My mom made me cut off certain friends.
Right. I mean, good mom, right? Because sometimes when you're friends with them, you don't realize it. And you're like, why can't I hang out with? You know what I mean? But it definitely feels like she finds out who she wants to be. And then when I asked about her career in the future, it just feels like you guys are sitting next to each other with them playing and you're having fun. Like to tell you she was going to cut her hair. That's funny. Yeah, they're showing me that again. But it feels like she could go very different directions. One aspect feels science related. Whatever science it is, it feels different than the science stuff that we have going on right this second. It feels like different science than what we are aware of at this moment. The other path, they're showing me that she went down the addictive path and she doesn't have much of a career. So if that is nipped in the bud, then that doesn't even happen because that feels like the least vibrant from my perspective when they're showing me choices. It's not so vibrant means not likely choice because you're aware of it. You already have gone through it. You understand the benefit of it. And so you're going to be aware of it when you start seeing these people where she starts talking about stuff and you're like, I know what's going on. Because now you're using your intuitive skills as well, even more by then. This new science, I'm fascinated because I like science and I wonder what this new science we're not doing right now. So I'm like, what is the science that we're not doing?
Like, is it just new science, which is like the metaphysical?
No, it's not metaphysical. It feels like
aliens.
Fun, right? Maybe. I mean, it's definitely stuff that we're not currently aware of.
Okay.
Brought somehow, and she's working with it somehow. I don't know how else to explain that. And then the middle path that feels very creative, like her, it feels very colorful. This rug is very colorful, very vibrant, oranges and pinks. And it feels like installations art and very creative and very different way than we're used to.
Yeah, we can't even guess because it's like,
I mean, it's
technology in 20 years.
Oh my goodness. I mean, like whenever I was a kid, the internet wasn't a thing. I was a baby infant for emails when I was in college. And, I got a flip phone when I was pregnant, so like, it's
you
just,
can't even.
It's incomprehensible.
Yeah. Probably just saying alien would be the good umbrella for whatever it is.
Sure. It's just not something that we are aware of at this moment, the technology that will be there when she is 20 years from now.
Good to know that we are around 20 years.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
Okay.
If you had to divide the timelines of, because they don't show me as a definitive this one or a definitive this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's really just kind of like a gradation of timelines where if you're down here, it feels a low vibe. To my friends, I call it the preppers and doomsdayers and all that kind of stuff. Whereas the vibe that is the higher vibration, and not that there's anything wrong with any of the timelines because we're all still learning lessons and a bigger scale. And we're spiritual beings first, having this human experience. They're learning lesson. This is our learning lesson. And so the higher vibration is the people who have authentically are becoming themselves, remembering who they are at a spiritual level, bringing that knowledge and understanding forward in this current life and inspiring others to do that as well. And so it's really all about which path do you want to be on? And there's layers in between. I know that once for me personally, I look out the window. It's a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
There are nice people everywhere I go. I don't know what you're talking about with the death and destruction. I mean, not that I'm, illiterate. I know a little bit about the news. I don't prefer to watch it. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Oh, no, I cannot go into all that. But I mean, it just feels like they're putting stuff out there that they want us to know about or hear about. But you need to choose that for yourself. But if you're at this vibration where, not that you're not aware of this other stuff going on, but it's that person's, that's their experience, that's their path, where I'm working with and experiencing lots of beautiful, loving people, very highly intelligent with the intuitive abilities and bringing forth a lot of very in-depth knowledge. That's my crowd. And so that's a higher vibration of knowledge and understanding, because you're really connecting to this higher dimensional aspects and beyond this earth. So it's almost like you're looking out a window of, do you want to have that in your experience? Or are you staying to choose in this higher vibration? And there's a lot more to that. If you've read any of Dolores Cannon's work,
I've started listening to some audiobooks.
Okay. She talks about two earths and this split, and the way that I was shown this in a vision, it's almost like how two cells divide. And so like you are choosing to be in this more difficult experience, or you're choosing to be in, we all love and accept each and every one of everything around us and love and respect the nature and everything as part of our earth experience. And it's had a division, a dividing, and many beings beyond this earth are watching this experience because, according to Dolores, this has never occurred for a really long time, and they want to see how it works out. A lot of people have come to cleanse and clear out these DNA ancestral patterns so that we can move into this more dimensional aspect. Because when you remove these bruises of experiences, these hard traumas and things like that, even all the stuff that you've been going through, you're forgiving and releasing those traumas from your energy, then you are opening up those channels of connection and you're vibrating up here. Where if you're staying stuck in victim and the world's going to hell in the handbasket and all this stuff, you're stuck in this vibration down here. On a human level, if you are in that, everything's happening to me, all this kind of stuff, you're vibrating at a lower vibration, and then you get sick and you wonder why you got sick, because you're vibrating with the germs. But if you stay in this higher vibration and, I love what I do, talking to angels and guides all day and helping people all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, I love that though.
I love it. You stay in this high vibe, which is why I brought it up, because I'm always in this high vibe.
Okay. I asked another psychic. She's like, it's just a higher vibration. And I'm like, how do you higher vibration? She's like, just make choices every day.
Well, I mean, it's like this. I mean, agreed. Do you want to be down here in this vibration or up here in this vibration? And when you're talking about choices, it's like, I'll give you an example that just happened a month ago. I hit a pothole and it broke one of my tires, and I was like, I had to pull off. It was a whole production to get this new tire. I could have been really upset and mad about it. It really impeded my getaway to write by a day and a half. And I was like, I could have been mad. But then I was like, there has to be a reason for this. I had to get all 4 tires, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, but there has to be a reason for this. So I'm asking, okay, what was the purpose of me being like, that happening? Well, if I would have been on my ride home, one of my back tires was not up to par, I would have wrecked. And I'm like, well, we're not having that again.
Not again.
So I'm grateful that happened. Even though when I was in the midst of it, I was like, but I met some really nice people that were super helpful at 9:00 at night on a Sunday night. Magical, right? In the middle of New Jersey. That's like not expected. Okay. And so it was definitely an experience that I probably won't ever forget, because I could have chosen to be, well, this is happening to me. Why did I get mad about it? But I was calm and relaxed about the whole thing. I met some lovely people, and it prevented me from having some kind of bad thing happen to me on my drive home. And I appreciate that help and guidance. The different. You feel the difference?
Yes. So what if we have loved ones that vibrate at the lower timeline?
Yeah, that's a fun time, right?
You see each other. Is it possible to connect?
So to see them in the space that they're in, they may never wake up in a sense or become trusting of their own intuitive abilities and things like that. And that's okay. I mean, I have to look back on my own life. I'm not kidding, atheist, no God. I went to Catholic schooling, all the stuff, had that rape happen. I was like, there's no God happen to me. Kind of faith. I wanted my kids to believe in God and all that kind of stuff, and in family pressure to all the religious stuff. But when I started getting back into all this stuff and I had that near-death experience when my daughter was born, it didn't wake me up until I was reading one of the books, and I can't remember which book it was. I feel bad. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And all of a sudden I was like, there's no going back. I believe in all of the other side. And once you do a past life regression, I can't remember if we were able to get to the in-between life when we were doing that with you.
Briefly.
It wasn't? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But like I strive to get people to go there because it's so impactful in such a way that you can, without question, know that there's more than just this humanness. There's angels, and man, if you meet an angel and can feel their presence, you can't remember that. You know, you can't undo that. And there's no question. So you're up here in this vibration. For those people that aren't there yet, you were there before, I was there before, and it's okay. You know, so instead of saying, watch, you're going to trust your intuition, you can be like, well, you know, I'm really not feeling that. You don't have to explain what intuition is or anything like that. Like, even for my own parents, they're like, all right, Karen, yep, okay. You know, but they don't understand all of it. But then sometimes they ask some questions, and I'm open to that. Whenever you're ready, you'll ask. Believe that. And you don't have to shove it down anybody's throat. No one can be forced to wake up in a real sense to their intuitive, their spiritual aspect of them to understand all this. So it's like understanding from a perspective of, and they're in their space at this time, and it's okay. And at some point, something will shift in them that they'll get to more closer to your understanding. Will they match up and meet up with you on the level that you're at? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, there are some people that I have met that have an immediate awakening because of a near-death experience, where I definitely, when my daughter was born, I didn't even realize I had one. I just remembered a lot of floating around up here and knowing what was going on. I saw her come out blue. I saw all the stuff. I knew that things were happening. I can still visualize all the beings of light around me, and that the room went to energy, and I'm seeing it very far down below. But when I had my second near-death experience with a car wreck, it's 10 years ago this last month. And that was awful. But I was super waked up after that. And I started seeing things the way that I was talking with you about. And it became a whole lot easier for me to provide a reading and things. And so you don't have to go through a near-death experience to get that, though. You working with and talking about and practicing in your intuition will also wake you up. Going into the other side during the in-between life and a past life regression, I really think that wakes people up too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning, how that's where I just want to go, like anytime for like a past life regression. I just want to hang out there.
I know, it's so nice.
Yeah, not the like confusing part of human.
Well, I mean, and it's like you have to be a detective when you're figuring out a past life, right? Because like you're given these little snippets of information and you're like, I don't understand why they're showing me all this stuff. And then it makes sense after a minute. But the in-between, man, it's a nice place to go, because then you're surrounded by all these beautiful beings and they just adore you because they know how hard it is. They know what you're going through, and you have this huge team on the other side because they know it's hard and difficult. It's funny, at the conference I was just at, was a lot of people channeling and stuff. And one of the ladies said, you got the golden ticket to be chosen to come here on this earth. And you have to relish that, because there's a lot of spiritual beings that didn't get the opportunity to be here at this time, at this great change that we're going through.
Feels in now or in the hard times, you're like, what, this is fun, like this is, we wanted to come here.
I know.
Which made me think of a question of, is there any time where like a karmic soulmate agreement like goes too far? Like they make an agreement like, you know, I'm going to be the abuser, you're going to be the victim.
Yeah.
But then when it actually plays out, it doesn't go exactly as planned.
Never put up with that. I'm just saying. But you're saying if it's gone too far.
I was thinking this of when I was like throughout my legal process, like I was just trying to always do the right thing, like trying to listen to my intuition. Like, how can I just, none of it was getting easier. And so the longer that I was in that, it was just making it harder for me to even see that kind of like hope I had before.
Positive.
So,
but you have to know that even you going through all that feels hard. But if you look back on that 5 years from now, you learned patience and tenacity and not giving up. Do you know what I mean?
I'm curious about like depression, because it's a part of what we experience and, you can fall in it and you can get out of it.
We go through these waves of emotions and it's okay to be here and there, but you have to remember you're going to get back here.
Yeah. I just wonder if you can be put through so much that you can't make it.
You mean like suicide or something like that?
Yeah.
So it's been my experience whenever I've remembered a past life where a suicide happened and when I've helped people who've gone through a past life memory, that once they get into the light and they're talking to their guides, they almost always bring up your Akashic record, which is your record of your soul experiences and things like that. And what they tend to bring up and show is, look, you chose this path at this time right now. This is an alternative choice that you could have chosen. And it's sometimes when you cut class early, which is what I call it, because this is a class, like I feel like people are taking this life class that you've chosen.
I like class better than a game because the game doesn't really feel that fun all the time.
Yeah, I don't like when people call it a game either. If you cut class early, you still haven't learned the lesson. So then you just come back and you're doing it again and again. And it's almost like when you push through and you know that when you push through, you've achieved the goal and there is a light at the end of that tunnel because you've overcome and got through it. Yeah. I mean, even when you're in a depression state, there still is an area where you come to that, you're out of it. Figure out a way to nurture and love yourself so much that you've raised your vibration. If you can stay in a positive mindset for just 17 seconds, you've raised your vibration up a notch. 17 seconds is a long time when you're depressed, though.
Except since I had Gaia, time has gone so fast.
Yeah, sure.
So I definitely learned a lot of patience and stuff. So
it's an exercise in patience.
Yes. Yeah, I've got to practice like meditation and connecting with my guides and stuff because
because you could teach her now how to do that. Yeah. How to find that inner peace now. So she knows.
We do breaths.
Okay.
Yeah. But just having to hold her for like so many hours, feed her for so many hours.
Sure.
Just in the room. I'm just like, oh, okay.
17 seconds is all it takes to raise it up a notch in a sense. Mm-hmm. So like doing creative work, getting out in nature, touching a tree, feeling the breeze, playing beautiful music. Those are all ways that you can raise your vibration up. Funny movies, whatever is your vibe. I like positive affirmations too. I mean, I made a whole bunch of stuff that's on repeat of positive affirmations. I sometimes have them playing on my TV with the sound off. So every time I walk past, I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to stuff it down and not express it, but it's almost like, oh, I acknowledge that I am feeling sad right now, and it's okay. And now that you've acknowledged that emotion, sometimes then that helps it to be released. Mm-hmm. Because if you're ignoring it because you don't want to feel it, some people choose to go and do a lot of drinking or other things and try to hide that stuff they're trying to drown out, literally, the stuff that they're trying to not feel or recognize, then that's not the right path, right? Flow out of you because you've acknowledged it. Because awareness is always a first step to healing, right? Whether it's depression, anger, whatever, you don't want to keep it stuffed in you, in your body, because you are an energetic being. And then that energy of anger, frustration, sadness, whatever, can come through as a physicalness, an ailment or whatever. And so you want to keep all that one with that.
That's so interesting because that's totally what happened to me. I didn't know I was depressed. Like I knew I was going through a lot.
Yeah.
I took antidepressants and I got off of them. So
yeah.
And then time goes.
You went through all that other stuff.
Yeah. So it was like I had to get to the point where I was like, oh, you are depressed again and you need some help. And then only from that point was I able to do something about it.
I mean, when we get into these hard situations, it's always nice to go to therapy, to have a good friend that gets you. You're able to feel safe, be vulnerable, and to express. But it's just getting it off your chest can help you release it. And I always bring up doing the forgiveness work, because it helps. I mean, forgiving all the legal crap, and all the paperwork that has to be done and all the stuff and the paper and the words and the blah.
Find genuine forgiveness. Because I feel like I could say, yeah, I forgive that, but it's just once you're actually healed, but doesn't the forgiveness heal you?
I like to use a car wreck as an example because it's easier to talk about than relationships. You can forgive yourself for putting yourself in that space. You can forgive the people that hit into you. You can forgive the music that was playing and all the individual things that are part of it. That is the true forgiveness because you're forgiving all aspects of it that brings it to mind, that triggers you to remember that moment or that time that you went through that trauma and brings you back into that fight or flight state where you're tensed up, stressed about it. And that helps to release it. And it's back to that subconscious flow of energy that like you're unplugged in a real sense from giving away your energy. Does that make sense to you about true forgiveness? I mean, even when I do past life regression stuff, and I don't know if it came up in our discussion when I was helping you remember a past life in one of my books. I have a lifetime I remembered in 1927. I was in New York City. I went to a speakeasy. I saved up a wad of cash to go to this thing, to get the outfit and to wear the nylons. I could tell you in detail my outfit, the whole experience of going to this speakeasy thing and on a boat docked on the New Jersey side of the Hudson River. I can tell you, I know exactly where it's at, but I forgave the bullet that hit me, that I had a birthmark here before. I remember this lifetime. And I forgave the bullet, the metal, the person who shot it, myself for going there, the guy who brought me, who was a friend of a friend. I forgave the friend who hooked me up with this person to take me. I wanted to go to a bar and have a beverage, which I never got. And the boat, the music, the everything, I forgave every aspect of it. And then a few months later, the birthmark, which was an energetic trauma mark, in a sense, on my physicalness from that past life trauma, death, it faded and you can't even see it anymore. It's like barely there because I forgave every aspect of it. It's no different than forgiving every aspect of that car wreck. You're forgiving all aspects of it. So to the point where you're no longer bothered by it. Oh, that happened. You know what I mean? And I learned from that. And even that lifetime, I had other things I was meant to do. I was so angry when I came out of that past life memory because I was pissed because I really wanted to have fun at that dance. And I had all this other stuff planned in my life that I never got a chance to do.
But that's not planned. Your death there was not part of your contract?
Well, there's not really a contract per se on your death, but you do pick exit points. And exit points are like the near-death experience is an exit point. The birth of Gaia could have been an exit point for you, right? And so it's those big deal days that change you. Those are choices of exit points. Do you want to stay or do you want to go? And so you stayed. And it's really the car wreck that I was in 10 years ago. Do you want to come back? I'm like, yeah, my kids are still like in middle school. You know what I mean? Yes, I want to come back. And so it's definitely choices that we make along the way. And then they're like, oh, good. Choosing to continue on because when you bypass an exit point, because that was an exit point getting shot in the throat. If I had not gone to that speakeasy, which I mean was illegal at the time, it was prohibition back in that time period. Alcohol was illegal, and so I shouldn't have gone. If I hadn't have gone, all my other stuff would have happened. I would have bypassed that exit point in a sense. How do you know what you're supposed to do and what? It's all choices. We're in this free will experience to choose all these things.
I wonder, because I have obviously still a hard time deciphering like a soul recognition connection that is good versus one that is...
Oh, you're talking about boys again.
Well,
it's all good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where in my life
sure.
that shows up. I mean, also with my friends, I've had a lot of betrayals also from friends, definitely like trusting people that did not have the best intentions.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, you don't want to close your heart. I'm just throwing that out there because you want to make sure that heart's open to find and vibrate with someone else whose heart is also open, right? When you're talking about when you meet somebody and you feel like, wow, I really know this person, sometimes it's because you've had past lives with them that were wonderful. And, like I met a woman just the other day that there have been experiences where I've given readings to people where they have so connected to this other person that they were just so in love with each other. They really vibed. They really connected. They felt like they knew each other for a really long time. And it's hard to distinguish sometimes. The reason that they hooked up is because she didn't complete or he didn't complete what they were trying to learn in a previous lifetime. But the purpose was to uncover a continuation of this past lifetime where they were learning to set boundaries, to speak out. That was really why they came back together again, because they didn't get a chance to resolve it, clear that karma out in a sense. Karma is more of like a lesson that you're trying to understand and learn, and sometimes from both perspectives.
Yeah, all perspectives. So yeah, so it's not a punishment for being on the receiving side. It's not like, oh, if you're being abused in this life, you must have been a terrible person in the last one.
That's not true.
Yeah.
And I've met some women who've had multiple lifetimes in a row where we're in abusive situation, and now they're in this current life and an abusive relationship showed up again where they're like, oh man, I got to break this cycle. And so that happens now in this current lifetime. So you can feel freer. It's finished.
Can you do early? Can you get through early and then just hang out and like everything's chill and fine?
I'm ready for the easy.
Mm-hmm.
So my main spirit guide, her name's Lena. She's adorable. And she's like a cheerleader. I don't know how else to explain her. I have a painting that I did of her, but I don't think I have it on my phone to even show you. It would be like, oh, yeah, that's a good picture of her. But she's the one that's talking to me about this. She says, think about it like this. If you go into, you just moved into this house. Mm-hmm. And so there's leftover residue of things. There might be a cobweb here, a mark on the floor there, something spilled over here. You're cleaning all that out. So it's fresh and new. And so when you're clearing out and doing all the forgiveness work, working through all these difficult things that you've overcome and are still overcoming, other stuff may come into your awareness. Who knows? But you'll be better prepared. Okay, I know that I can get through this because I got through all this other stuff. And this is less hard than those things.
Are there any lifetimes people come just
to vacate?
Yeah, just to have fun?
Yes. Yeah, I have seen that for sure. A break. It's like a break lifetime. They're just coming for the fun of it.
So you've heard it here, guys. There are people that have it easier than you.
But you could choose to have that, right? Because if you are under the impression that my life always has to be hard, mm-hmm. then you're manifesting it always going to be hard. But maybe from this point forward, my life is filled with ease and the right people come at the right time to help me. And there are helpful people everywhere I go. And I always have the easy parking space, the green lights, all the stuff. It's a different perspective. Like people aren't attacking you. It's more of, what am I learning from this? Am I learning that I need to stand up for myself? Am I learning I have to communicate more? Am I learning patience? And not that you're being attacked and life is difficult. What's the lesson here? Why did this occur? And so that's also a lesson. I have to remember to be my own self and to show up in a relationship in that way so that now when someone else comes into my awareness, they show up in that same way too. And we can create and co-create this experience, this relationship together. Coming to that perspective of, wouldn't it be nice if I just learned the lesson of love and to learn what it feels like to open my heart, learn what it feels like to really connect with someone on such a deep, vulnerable, open level, and it's safe to do that. Wouldn't that be a nice lesson next, right?
We don't have to go through the hard things.
No. But you have
you can just some of that out. Learn, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. You have to hit your marks, right?
You have to clear all the stuff. You clear all the cobwebs out. Mm-hmm. So you're clearing out DNA ancestral patterns, right? You're clearing out patterns, roles, vowels, all the stuff. And you're clearing all that out. And then now it's obvious. Okay, that's a lesson. Mm-hmm. What am I learning from this?
You told me about my purpose, my path, what I need to figure out, like standing up for myself and the boundaries, which I always have had people, like my peers, make me feel like, oh, you only care about yourself. You only want to talk about yourself. You only want to do things that you want to do. Even like growing up, that just kind of became a thing. Like, oh, like Amanda only wants to talk about Amanda. It's like, I just follow everything I want to do. It kind of trained me to not have boundaries.
Let's go back to that point when your life, though, because they're showing me maybe they were saying those things because that's what they wanted for themselves and they didn't do.
Stop doing that. And it's like they'll do the same thing too,
Right. They want that. And sometimes when people are jealous or don't have that confidence or whatever, they're going to make you feel bad about it. But it's almost like being who you want to be no matter what. And if they love and accept you for who you are, great. If they are not resonating with that, then they'll find someone who might. It's kind of like when I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but if you hang out with somebody that You know what I mean? And people who get stuck in that are down here in this vibration, right? And you don't want to be drugged down to that. So being your true authentic self brings you up here. That's the only way to be, I think.
What would the guide say about, for that example, I always am reading this in people's astrology charts where it's like, they tell me this is my issue. This is what I'm struggling with. And then I look at their chart and it's like, oh, that's funny because what you're supposed to do is like the complete opposite.
Yes.
Yeah. You're afraid of being seen. You're afraid of traveling and meeting new people. Oh, that's your purpose in this life. You've actually got to do that. Is there any, if we want to know what our purpose is, what do we need to heal? What are we here for?
Yeah.
We look at the hard things.
If one of your life lessons is to speak out, stand up for yourself, all that kind of stuff, you're going to have stuff thrown at you that's going to help you learn that lesson. I definitely have seen even an entire company who was such a weird vision that I had, where people who worked there, the main purpose of them working there, because they were learning how to set the boundaries. There was not a great place to work, and people were rude, inconsiderate, expected you to work longer and all that kind of stuff. And I had to learn to overcome that in some kind of way. Choosing to how to react to them is now the lesson, where you could leave the relationship. You could also leave your job, find something new to do. And so it's definitely sometimes when you have had an abusive relationship, or you're learning how to set boundaries or get away from a narcissist or something like that, in your experience again, because it's almost like the guides are saying, did you learn? Did you get it? Are you sure? And then you get it faster versus it took you 10 years to figure it out. Now it took you 2 weeks because now you get it and you understand. It's also a way, now I understand that was part of my life lesson. It's almost like healing the throat chakra. You know, that was part of my path in this life. I never in a million years would have imagined me sitting here talking on a podcast. I've done a lot of different ones in the last several months, totally outside my comfort zone, but not really, because I feel pretty comfortable sitting here talking to you. If you'd asked me this 10 years ago, I was like, no, I would not have done that. They give you snippets, right? It's definitely, process is fun because you're uncovering more parts of you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
I get it. It's like, I feel like I want more always. Like I want to have like, this is it.
The spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And here it is.
And I'm like, okay, thank you.
Next.
Now I never have to think about it again. I just know.
But what if you felt into it every time? I mean, you have a strong empath ability. If it feels light and bright, it feels good, then go that direction. Jaggy, because I definitely have seen that in a vision for when empathic people can see that that's the wrong direction. It feels jaggy, wrong direction, light and bright. This one feels heavy. Don't even waste your time. How is that any different than a human in your life? You know, it's almost like a way that you could learn how to open your heart and trust this human versus that, where this person makes you feel good. They also feel good. It feels lighter. It feels brighter. You're excited to see each other and you leave feeling not exhausted. You feel both happy. That's the kind of person that should be someone you resonate with.
So
does that make
the important noticing signs of abuse would be maybe you do feel really great and special around them.
Love bombing.
Yeah.
You have to see through that.
And then when you leave, you're starting to question things about how you are as a person. Are you worthy enough or something like that?
They might have gaslit you too. So you have to be mindful of that too.
Well, yeah.
That's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
In general, it's my understanding, and I'm not like the expert on narcissists. Narcissists generally have a low self-esteem. And the only way that they can make themselves feel better is to make you feel worse about yourself. Not pretty enough, not good enough, whatever the case may be. And you feel here and then they feel better. They continuously do that.
Condition it.
Right.
Like
and
you're always chasing to be at their level, some made up like hierarchy.
Right. And so when you leave that relationship, it's kind of no different than you were a prisoner of war. You've been gaslit. You've been conditioned to think that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not whatever. And you have to come back to your whole, oh no, I am. And F you, I am good. I am pretty. I am smart. Really collect yourself again in that sense, in that kind of way.
Yeah, it's really like you have to retrain your mind and
Right.
your nervous system.
Right. And that's not being selfish. That's self-care, self-love,
Yes.
which is what we started out by talking about with the pink and the green with the heart chakra.
Yeah. And I love how you mentioned here, and it's in your book, that the people pleasing, the
Oh gosh, yeah.
feeling like we need to be nicer. You know, when growing up, girls would be jealous or whatever. I would just be like, there's something wrong with me, you know?
And there's nothing wrong
It's
with
not.
you.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful that there's so many different kinds of people and everybody has their own thing that they're interested in, because that makes it interesting and fun to have this human experience in this earth that we've been gifted to have this life.
Yeah. And I want everyone to feel that they are perfect as they are, you know?
Sure. I mean, everyone's on their path in the space that they're in at this moment. There's no pressure or hurry. It's recognizing that you are worth it. You're enough. You are loved and lovable and all that.
And we've been loved in multiple
Sure.
lifetimes.
You've had loving lifetimes, and it's connecting with that knowledge and remembering that.
Is every life ultimately meant to be a lesson of love?
I heard no from the guides. Because sometimes you're learning how to do other things. I mean, learn how to love yourself is always part of it, yes. I'm asking them to give me an example, please. So sometimes it's about confidence, standing on that stage, giving that speech with the curtains behind you and not holding anything back, being your true, authentic you, right? And so sometimes it's about learning that confidence. It's always about loving yourself. My guy is saying it's always about loving yourself. But the aspect of what do you mean by that definition? Do you feel like the ultimate goal is always find your true love soulmate?
No,
Maybe
like just
not.
isn't like the lesson of life love,
Right.
Because everything like that's
Could you go through the entire day loving the outfit that you're wearing, the makeup that you have on, the way you cut your hair, the sun shining on and glistening on the leaves on the trees outside, feeling the fresh air, and just that entire day just embracing every moment in that joyfulness? You're not being blind to all the other stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's all choices. Enjoying that every moment of that day in gratitude. It will be such a different experience.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like younger women that are not as aware of even what's happening like to them in their life, their relationships, like they haven't been aware of that yet.
So hopefully they don't have to go through all that.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask though, on my podcast, I always try to like pull the tarot for the collective of people watching
Oh,
me.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And so I
Are
was,
you going to do that?
well, I was wondering if you,
I don't even do them.
no, but you don't have to do tarot.
Sure.
Ask
Oh.
the guides if there's
What's
like,
the message?
there's girls that have been following me since I was 10 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'd met a couple talking
Yeah.
about you.
and still like supporting me now. I just think the ones that are watching this, showing the interest into
They've
this.
evolved also.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a specific collective, a specific group of people that would be
Okay.
really fun to give like a personal message.
Okay, so my guide's talking to me about how to know when your intuition is coming through and to trust it. And it's kind of like how I described to you, and I helped you before we started doing the past life regression thing. Some people don't even know that that's their intuitive abilities coming through. If you start with every thought that comes in your mind is a message. If it's even a reminder, I have to go do laundry, it's still a message. If you have a vision of something, a knowing of something, or you might hear words, or you might feel a certain way, those are all input from your intuitive guidance. And so trusting that. Emotions can also be indicative of what you need to pay attention to also. If you wake up feeling fantastic, then all of a sudden you speak with somebody on the phone or an interaction occurs, and then all of a sudden you're like deflated. That's an awareness, trusting that it's almost like you're hyper aware of what's happening within you and recognizing that that's intuitive input. Because we are bombarded with it in a sense, because our spiritual aspect, that's the only communication. I don't want to say the word bombardment in a negative light, but it's definitely feels like you're being gifted that information to help you through your day. It could be with anything. If you're feeling heavy or light, that's a message. It's hard to distinguish that if you haven't practiced trusting that. If this is for people who can visualize things, because I didn't realize that was happening for me. I have to say, I started doing this in college, actually, when I was trying not to get sidetracked in my own thoughts while I was trying to read business law, which was a super boring book for school. And I'm like trying to really focus on this chapter. And I just started visualizing what I was reading. And then I could actually stay focused and concentrate on that page. But if you are listening to somebody talk or you're reading something and you are visualizing in your mind what that looks like, or you're visualizing what someone's talking about, then you're using your psychic sense of seeing. And that's a way to practice that. For people who are feeling things and you're not sure how to feel out things, you can practice feeling into music and feeling the vibration of it. One of the archangels, Samuel, always talks about touching trees and a plant or moss and feeling the vibrational difference between them. Like if you go hug a tree, I mean, that's always also a fun time because they're unconditional loving beings. You know, if you go to an old tree and touch that tree, that's going to feel very different than if you interact with or touch a sapling. It's going to be feeling very wise and knowledgeable versus not. It's starting to trust that feeling sense and however you're receiving that and noticing it. For those of you out there that are feeling like a headache all of a sudden for no apparent reason, and you're like, wait, that's not mine. I didn't have a headache. There's no reason for me to have a headache. Help me understand whose headache this is, if this is not mine. And then your eye will be drawn to, so you're trusting that, no different than when you're picking cards, your eye might be drawn to that. Or when just before I was turning onto your street here, I saw 4444 on a license plate. So I was like, I know that's a sign. So trusting that input, your eye's drawn there. Like I'm not looking at every license plate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Your eye's drawn to that person who might have provided that headache to you. And you can be like, well, that's not mine. Let me put that into earth and let that transmute back into positive. I don't need to have that as part of my being. If you want to practice your intuitive sense of hearing, then you can sit with a pen and paper, which I definitely did that whenever I was doing the reading for you. I am getting so much information. It was too much to talk because they're giving it too faster than I can speak it. So, but I can write pretty fast. It's not neat, but I can write pretty fast. And you can practice hearing whatever anyone on the other side has to say. You can direct it to a specific angel. I wouldn't just say willy-nilly whoever. I would specifically ask for one of your main spirit guides to come through and give you information. I would specifically ask for an archangel to give you information. A past over loved one, you can choose to do that too. And then just sit with a pen and paper and I know a lot of people in your generation don't sit down and handwrite stuff too
We
much.
like to journal. It's like
I'm so
cute.
happy to hear that. I'm so happy. I definitely feel like you can hear whatever's being said, write it down, and then pretty soon you'll start getting some messages. I know when I've done that technique, even with my own spirit guide, not Lena, but a different one, he is giving me some information, and then he always includes a word I don't know. I go look it up afterwards and I'm like, that perfectly fits exactly what we were talking about. I don't know that word personally, but he puts it in there so I know I'm not just making stuff up. And so it's definitely a nice way to connect in with your sense of hearing. And so hearing all that auditory information coming to you. Oh, this is a fun thing. You can choose to do this with the hearing sense because every once in a while I like to drive a little fast. And so I'll hear in my head, get in the right lane or slow down. So then you're trusting that intuition, and then I'll see a cop. I thank them for doing their job up ahead, to maintain the speed limit, whatnot. And so I'm listening to that. So the last psychic ability that is knowing. And so I'm going to ask them how to practice that one because I've never asked that question. So people who have a sense of knowing get a lot of premonitions and dreams. And I have met people who only get like, unfortunately, like they know when someone's going to pass, they get a dream about it or whatever. And that's premonition. Sometimes that's a heads up. So you have time to prepare yourself for the grief. So being okay with that, or you can set the intention. I only really want to receive information of positive nature or whatever. And so like maybe you start to get dreams of interactions and things, or a spontaneous knowing about this, that, or the other thing. Maybe you see a bouquet of flowers being gifted to you or something like that. So then you get a knowing about it. So then you're kind of not surprised when you receive something a couple of days later or whatever. But then you're asking for your guides to provide you with that kind of information so that you can practice getting your knowings. It doesn't have to be all sad things, because it feels like sometimes people who have a sense of knowing, that's one of the first things they bring up. They don't want to know it.
That's crazy, because that's what my strongest is, it feels. And like, I saw a psychic at my management event. I was trying to connect with one of my friends that passed over, and she was asking me questions, and then she was like, did you know he was going to die? And I was like, yeah. But then I was like, wait, because my childhood best friend growing up, I remember randomly, I was like, oh, like he's going to die. You know, I was like so young, and like, I remember checking in on him after, and I was like, wow, he's doing good. Like things worked out. And then just randomly, like,
It's hard.
yeah, that's the most clear knowings like I've had, which are bad.
Well, it's almost like their higher self aspect connected with your higher self aspect to help you prepare for their passing. Where it wasn't a total shock, you were somewhat prepared for it.
Yeah, like that's where the knowing would come from, so that I knew how close I should stay.
Well, and if you do get a knowing about that, then that's also a gift for you to get that understanding. I need to spend more time with that person, to really quality time. And you don't have to bring up all the stuff about what you were shown in that vision or dream or whatever. It's really you spending that quality time with them, because, you know, there is no time, and we're a spiritual being, and we've had many lifetimes with all these beautiful people in our lives. If we so choose, then we'll have future lifetimes with them as well. But they're there for you as soon as you pass. And to them, it's like a blink. But to us, it might be 50 years or more, or 100 years, or whatever the case may be. Because we're living longer and longer all the time.
Sometimes like my knowings, I'm like, I can't tell if it's like just overconfidence or like a knowing where I'm like, I know that this is what this person's thinking right now. Like, I know that that's what they're thinking about me. I know that's what's going on. Like, that's what their vibe is, and that's how they're feeling. Like, I just know. I'm like, am I just assuming that? So
sometimes you can validate stuff when you get something like that. I was just talking about that as an example the other day. Well, I was talking to somebody about the scene, because a lot of people want to see things. I'm telling you, probably, I would say at least 60 to 70% of the people that do past life regressions with me do not see anything. They feel everything. Everything. And once in a while, they'll start to see stuff. It's not too often that someone goes in full on and just looking around and seeing everything and describing it all. I feel like there's this there. I feel like that's there. Sometimes people do get knowings during a past life thing.
I know it's something that I need to pay attention to. It just like pops in, and it's like, whatever. Some random, knowing, just a fact of like, it is what it is. It comes, and it's like, there's nothing more to it. Like, that's usually like, okay, we can trust that one.
Well, so like, do you get like a daydream about it maybe? Or did you just get information?
And I analyze a lot. It's already like a lot of like my own like thoughts. Like, does this relate to this? Like, I, pattern recognition in my life, and like try to figure out the why of everything. So sometimes it will be like, I'm not having this trying to figure it out in my head.
It's easy to overthink things sometimes too. If you feel like you're getting a knowing about something, you can use that like pendulum kind of, or I'm connecting to my higher self. Is this a knowing that I need to trust? That's a yes. Then
I was just practicing that because I heard this, but I was like the opposite way. I was feeling like, I was like,
Oh,
Yeah. And like, yes was like,
okay. So you're feeling that heaviness and that lightness.
yeah.
So that's another way people do stuff. I mean, it's whatever works for you. I use it all the time.
Yeah,
and it's just easy. You always have you with you. So it's no different.
And that way, like, I feel like that one you can practice and then you'll know just without even intentionally doing it. You'll just be like, oh, that feeling is a no feeling.
Well, and some people get a sick gut, sick feeling in their stomach when that's a no, and they feel good about it. They get a warm, butterfly, fuzzy, yummy feeling in their being when it's a yes. It's how
They're very close feelings.
Yeah, well, I mean, a sick feeling in a pit in your stomach is very different than a.
Yeah, I think that's where I get tripped up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's why I use the yes.
I
and
love
the no.
I love exciting things. I love magic. I just think everything is magical, and like when it is, I'm like, oh my god, yes, great.
Oh,
So-
well, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
If something is making you have a whole lot of anxiety, can feel the same way as when you're very excited. Is a whole thing.
That was my most recent one where I was like, I woke up feeling so weird, just anxiety. So I'm like, I'm going to take that as this was not that positive of a situation. This is like, I ran into my first boyfriend ever on like the first day of Mercury retrograde. And we talked, like, we had a conversation for the first time in like forever. And I was trying to figure out like what it was supposed to mean. I noticed that he, like, I held on to this like image of him from that relationship for so long. So I was able to like see him
Like you knocked him
now.
off the pedestal.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's kind of sad. You know, sometimes it's, you just be like, wow, I've done so much and I've grown so much and you're exactly the same.
Well, it's confirmation that you can just let them out of your life, right?
And it's so fun. It's like, wow, I needed that. So awesome.
Sometimes things come through that way, where it's a confirmation of you're done. And it's okay. There's billions of people on this planet.
Yeah.
So many choices.
Yeah, I didn't even really know like I needed that, but it happened so crazy that I was like, okay, so we worked on something here.
Isn't it interesting that you notice that he hasn't grown? You want to be with somebody that grows with you.
Or what is it? When you meet him, he's going to be that or worse. Men don't really like become better in their relationships.
The way they're going to be, and if you don't love the way they are at that moment, they tell you who they really are on that first date.
Yep.
I can be real asshole
And they
sometimes.
don't change.
And they are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're not, oh, that's just cute that they said that.
If they say, you're too good for me, or I'm not good enough for you, run.
Right.
Well, I think that we covered a lot.
We did cover a lot.
We could talk forever. I would love to have you on again.
Yeah, anytime. But maybe not in person.
Yeah.
Because I'm not usually in California.
And yeah, but we got lucky with this.
We did. That was magical.
Did you drive?
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was really a special one for me. And if you made it this far, I appreciate you so much for being part of the family. Let me know what you think of this episode down below. Also, if you want to find Karen, all of her information will be down below. I want to show you, these are her books. Life is Just Another Class and Making True Love, Healing Relationship Patterns Through Past Life Regressions. So if you're interested in the books she's written, you can get those. You can book a session with her. If you want to do a past life regression with her, I did one. If you want to do a soul reading with her, you can find out how many angels and spirit guides you got with you. She's legit and she's the best energy. If there's any more questions that this episode brought up for you, please share them with us. I would love to hear more, and I totally would love to have her back on the show to talk about even more specific topics. So thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.